My name is Ron Henry, and if this is your first time to the live stream, welcome. The live stream is literally all about you, where I take your lawn care questions and do my best to try and answer them. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't, but at any rate, we always have a good time. So thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your Friday to come hang out. And feel free to drop any of your questions down in the chat at any point, and we'll just work through them in the order that they come in. So that is the format for the show. So let's see who we got here tonight. So we got Daryl's in the house. What's going on, sir? Just like Daryl was doing a top dressing project, we've been corresponding back and forth in email, and he was telling me about some recovery that he's got going on. And yeah, Daryl, you know, the same issue that you're having, I'm seeing the same thing, man. As far as you know, the temperatures here in Georgia, they've slowed down. I guess, you know what? If you want temperatures to get cool in the spring, let Ron top dress his lawn, because literally since then, I don't think we've had a day in the 80s since then. I don't believe so. And then looking at the forecast, we're not going to get days in the 80s until I think this time next week. So hopefully we're on a warming trend, man. I don't know what's going on with the weather, but you know, I guess we'll take it while we can get it. All right, so let's see who else we got going on here. We got Skilled Musician in the house. He says, "Hey man, Ron, hi Ron, excited to hear your thoughts. Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. I really appreciate that." And let's see who else we've got. So Mark is dedicated, man. Mark's in Phoenix. 100-degree temperatures and out there mowing. So that's See, that's what it takes, man. That's what it takes to get the lawn looking nice. So glad to see about the dedication, sir. And that's I admire you. I salute your efforts. All right. So the first question we have this evening is from Skill Musician. So his the whole story behind his lawn is he's taking care of his lawn himself. He used to have a service doing it. Now he's taking it himself. And now he's talking about doing a lawn renovation this season. So as you can see, he just killed off his entire backyard with some glyphosate, and he has a question about zoysia. So the question is, I'm going to be seeding my zoysia in my backyard, and I'm trying to decide between peat moss and compost top dressing. Any thoughts? So here's the thing. I've never actually top dressed a lawn with peat moss. Of the two, I would lean more towards compost. I mean, there tends to be more organic material within compost. It's going to break down a little bit slower than peat moss is. So, you know, if you're thinking about doing a top dressing mix, you know, I would definitely, if it were me, I would choose compost over peat moss. Now, it sounds like you might not even be top dressing. It might be you're just going to just put down a layer, like a nice bed for the seeds to grow in. And even in that case, my recommendation would be to go with compost. That's all I've ever used. I'm sure peat moss can work well too. I've always seen peat moss really used as a topper. So what I tend to see is people will put down either some topsoil or compost, put the seed down, and then they will use peat moss on top of that. But I've never actually seen anyone do like peat moss and then seed on top of that, or use that actually as a top dressing mix per se, you know? So if it were me, I would go with compost. A great question, and good luck with seeding zoysia. And I think we've talked before, but make sure you've got your irrigation in place, and water some more to really get that germination going. You know, you still got plenty of time because the temps aren't moving where they need to be. So yeah, you can, you know, at least that's one good thing that's happening with that. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. We got Andrew Fluvog in the house. He says he was just there 1 month ago. I'm not sure where you were, sir, but okay. And we got Jesse Snow in the house. Happy Friday. And of course, Jay Pompano always likes to come hang out. Always like to tease me. Jay always likes to give me a hard time every time I drink my lemonade. You know, he always likes to do that. But, you know, I can take it. Mean and green up there in Connecticut. That's good, man. I'm glad to hear the lawn is greening up nicely. You know, you cool season guys have it better than we warm season guys. I mean, you guys get like 2 growing seasons. You get the spring, you get one in the fall. We just have to kind of hope and pray and keep our fingers crossed that, you know, we get plenty of heat in the summer and we get like one big surge, you know? So you guys actually have it better than we do. So a couple of things, some housekeeping. I wanted to answer a question that I got last week. So really it was a question around mold crickets, around what to use for them, and then like the time to apply them. So the product that after doing some research, is a product called, it's bifenthrin. So it's an insecticide. It's like a general purpose insecticide. And that will work well against mole crickets. Now, I was looking at whether you'd want to use a liquid or a granular for the lawn, and a granular is what you're going to want to go with. So whoever that was that asked that question, I promise you I'd answer it, so I'm answering it now. And then the bifenthrin granular, as far as treatment, how long it will work, 2 to 4 months. So it's not really super critical as far as when you get that down. So if you've got mole crickets in your lawn, you can put it down now, and you're really probably going to be good for the rest of the season. And I will put, if you're in here, sir, I will put the link to that in the chat so you have that. But I promise I would answer that question, and oh man, I'm a word. So there we go. So that's your so there's that. And also any orders for Turfplex. I know I've gotten some emails from some of you guys that have been ordering Turfplex. There's been a lot of demand for it, so a lot of orders have been coming in. So I apologize if your stuff has not gone out as yet. It should have shipped today, but people that ordered early in the week had emailed me asking about tracking information, and that's going to go out now. So just want to make sure, don't worry, it's not on back order. The warehouse is getting out as soon as they can. All right, so let's see what we got here. We got Chris Balducci in the house. I always like saying Chris's name. He says, "Hello, fellow lawn crazies. Hope everyone is well. Hope you're doing well too, sir. Always glad to see you around. Always nice having you in the live stream." And let's see what else we got. We also have the lawn tools guys. We have YouTube royalty. I mean, I've got to promote them. They if you want to talk about a fun YouTube channel, people that enjoy working in their lawn. The lawn tools absolutely love it. And they got some serious hardware. If you want to see like the entire Toro catalog of all kinds of really nice toys, check out their channel. It's they got that. I think you got that new Titan mower. I think Alan has one of them. It's a sick piece of equipment, man. I mean, it won't work on my lawn, but it's still a nice piece of hardware. All right. Let's see what else we got going on. We got Robert Wallace in the house. What's going on, Robert? Thanks for coming to hang out this evening. And then a question. He's throwing me a softball. I appreciate it, guys. Softball question from the lawn tool. He says, "What is the deepest dip you recommend for sand leveling?" It depends on your grass type. So if you're dealing with Bermuda, really, let's say if you're dealing with the classic rut that you have in your lawn, where like a heavy truck or something backs through your lawn, so you're dealing with like a 2 or 3 inch rut. If you don't really care that it could take a while for the grass to grow over that, you could do 2-3 inches all at one time. I mean, I am more inclined to do an inch, maybe let the grass grow in, and then do another inch, let it grow in. But really, if you're dealing with Bermuda, you could go pretty heavy, and the grass will eventually, the grass neighboring the rut will eventually grow through it and fill it in just fine. Because I've got a friend in the neighborhood that is dealing with that. Like a moving truck was backing in. They literally like cut like a tire track. I don't know. It was like this wide, 6 inches wide, and probably 3 inches deep in his vanity strip. Pains my heart seeing that. And he's trying to decide how he's going to fix it. And I think he's just going to go at it just in one go. The only thing you have to realize is if you do that, it is going to take longer to grow in. And then as far as when you're filling in a rut like that, you're definitely going to want to use some sand in it. So whereas you can sometimes get by with just putting like compost on your lawn or just topsoil on your lawn, if all you're looking to do is feed the soil. If you're looking to add structure, right? So you're trying to fill in like a crevice, you're really going to want to have some sand in that mixture. So anywhere between like a 50-50 mix or or even like a 70-30, that can work well too. But you're definitely want to have some sand in as well if you're leveling a rut. That's definitely that's definitely the one thing that I'd say is not really conditional for you getting a good result out of it. Great question. Another question we had from last week, and I needed to answer this one as well, was around dimension. So someone had a question, and I forget his name, but it was around whether or not you need to apply or you should apply a surfactant with dimension, which is it's primarily considered a pre-emergent, but it's also got some post-emergent properties, especially for crabgrass. And the long short of the answer is yes, you can. If your goal is to use dimension as a pre-emergent, but you got some crabgrass and baby crabgrass that you want to kill, you absolutely can use it as a surfactant with it. According to the label, you'd want to spray that, wait 6 hours, and then water it in. So you want to give the dimension enough time, the herbicide enough time to stick to the leaf of the weeds we're trying to target, and then you can water it in. So that was a question we had last week. It was an interesting one because typically with pre-emergent, like with prodiamine, you would not really want to use a surfactant, right? Because it doesn't really do anything until it gets in the soil. But with dimension, that's one where adding a surfactant to it, especially when you're trying to target crabgrass that's already germinated, already growing a little bit, makes a lot of sense. You just got to give it a little bit of time, 6 hours or so according to the label before you water it in. So the other person that had that question, you are covered. I promise you I answer it, and there we go. All right, so let's see what other questions we got going on here. So Philip Ballesteri says, moving to Texas in 2 weeks, what should I do first to kill weeds in the lawn or fertilize? Or is it both? Is tenacity good? Okay. So a lot going on in that question. So let's unpack some of it. So the thing, Philip, it depends on your grass type, right? So I'm going to answer your question as if you were dealing with Bermuda. All right. So you're dealing with a warm season grass. So yeah, you absolutely can put down, you can blanket the lawn. Let's say you got like a serious weed problem, kind of like what Alex had when we started last year. You got a couple of different options. You could use a granular spectricide. I like that one because it's really hard for people to over apply it. Or if you can get your hands on a liquid spectricide, that's a great option too. I recently did a video on that one, and that product, again, I like it because even if you go a little bit heavy, you're unlikely to damage the grass. If I've got it up here, this is what it looks like. Let me put it up here on the channel so you can see there. This stuff here, if you went to your local Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, you should be able to get this. This stuff will work well on most warm season grass and most cool season grass. The only grass stuff that you would not want to use this on is if you have St. Augustine, because even though, guys, this is just between us, and hopefully Alan's not on here right now, but even though he doesn't consider St. Augustine to be crabgrass, like the same active ingredient, like the conclorac that is really safe, that targets crabgrass, is also will put a bruise in on St. Augustine too. So if you're dealing with St. Augustine, which is fairly common in Texas, there is a version of that same bottle. So I showed you the orange bottle. There's a yellow bottle of spectricide that is safe for St. Augustine. So if you've got St. Aug, that's the one you're going to want to go with. And then as far as whether to fertilize, the two are kind of they're not really linked. So you could do your herbicide, spray the entire lawn, and then the next day you could come back with your fertilizer, because really now that we've blanketed the entire lawn with herbicide, anything that's growing in, any weeds that are there, they're just going to be taken. The herbicides are going to be knocking them back. So if you're trying to feed the lawn, to get the grass growing, there's no issue with that. So your case, Philip, would be a great situation where weed and feed actually makes sense, right? People tend to use that stuff monthly, which is I'm not a fan of. But in your case, where you're trying to do a brand new lawn, you're trying to get it under control, then yes, using like a weed and feed product, which you can find at your local big box stores, should work pretty well in that case. As far as tenacity, if you have a cool season lawn in Texas for some reason, in that case, you'd be good to go. Yeah, with tenacity. I'm not a fan of using tenacity on warm season grass. I know some people use it whenever the grass is dormant, but at this time of year, your warm season grass isn't going to be dormant. And so I'd say no. And plus, there's so many other options really for killing weeds that don't take the risk of damaging your warm season grass. That if you have a warm season lawn in general, just avoid tenacity. There's other great products that you can use that are going to be safe for your grass type. Hopefully that helps. And as far as a great video on that, if you've not followed like Princess Cut Lawn Care, George, he recently did a video on that subject, on using tenacity mixed with Speed Zone, I think it is, and showing like how well it works on cool season grass. So if you want to check that out, feel free to give that a look. And George, if you're in the live stream, I'm not sure if you are, but if you're in the live stream, feel free to drop the link to your video in the chat so that Philip can get to that. Great question, Philip. A lot going on there, but I want to give you a really complete answer. So congrats on moving to Texas and taking on the new lawn. And guys, while we are going through this, I will tell you, in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten a lot of emails from you guys, with people in various degrees of panic because their lawn isn't greening up as much as they want or as quickly as they want. And here's the thing, guys. The temperatures have not really been where they should be this time of year to really get growth to take off. And also realize that it's a process, right? Like, one of the negatives, and Alex and I were talking about this, one of the negatives of whenever you see my lawn or you see someone else's lawn, like you look like, Peat, GCI, or anyone else that has like a really, really good lawn and has put a lot of work in it for a lot of years, it's really easy to look at that and say, okay, you know what, my lawn should look exactly like that now because I'm doing the exact same things that they're doing now. And it just doesn't work that way. So, even my lawn now, if you take a look at it, I can show you guys a picture from today, and this is 13 days later, and even it is kind of slowing down a little bit from all the cool temperatures we've had. Like it looks okay, but if you look at all that sandy area there, like with a week gone by, that really should be grown in by now, and it just isn't. So, there's always challenges with the lawn, and really you enjoy the process. You enjoy the fact that it's just never perfect, never 100%. And you just keep working on it to get it to where it is. So just for any of you guys that are worried about your lawn, I promise that once the heat gets here, your Bermuda is going to green up. It's going to be just fine. Just enjoy the process. It's all part of the game. Unfortunately, Mother Nature's just playing with us this year. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. So Wise Guy is chiming in. What's going on, Wise Guy? He says, "What's the recommended pounds per year for zoysia per application?" That's a great question. For zoysia, I'm not sure. I know it's less than Bermuda. Let's see, Zoysia nitrogen annually. I know it's less than Bermuda. I think Bermuda is like something like 4 to 5 pounds, and yeah, so Zoysia is 2 to 4 pounds, per year annually is what it calls for. So how much you put down per month. So here's the thing. Here's the way you have to unpack that and think about that, right? If the growing season is really between, let's say, April until October-ish, right? You can get down a lot of that. Let's say 80% of that nitrogen really during that growing season. So you can really just divide that up. In my case, in that case, I say half a pound, 0.6 of a pound per month is probably going to be good. Wise guy. With my lawn with Bermuda, Bermuda, a lot of people will say, Bermuda, a pound of nitrogen per month during the growing season. And in the last couple of years, I've never gone that heavy. I've always gone just slightly under that, like around 7/10, 0.8 of a pound per nitrogen. And I've gotten really good results with it. So Zoysia does require less than that. So I would say, just around half a pound thereabouts. And a fertilizer you can use for that, like if you look at the Humic Max, the rate that's on the bag, and that I recommend, that 3 pounds per thousand, is going to have you applying the fertilizer at that half pound rate. So you can always add more if you don't like the results you're getting. You're like, hey, I want it to be greener. It's not growing as fast. You can always add more, but it's really hard to take nitrogen away once you've already put it down, right? So I'd say half a pound to 0.6 of a pound. That's going to do really well in your lawn. And as far as a great fertilizer, like one that I am like seriously in love with, like I kind of love the some of the other country club fertilizers, but this Humic Max stuff is the bee's knees. I really do like it. So if you're looking for something, Perry, to throw down your Zoysia that I know will do a great job with it, this is available on the Golf Course Lawn Store. Great option. And again, I would apply it at 3 pounds per thousand. That's going to get you around half pound of nitrogen, and you're not going to burn your lawn, not going to push too much growth. Overall is a nice, safe number, especially if you're trying to do any kind of liquids on top of that. You leave yourself a little bit of headroom in case you want to spray like like something like Turfplex that has like a micronutrient, a little bit of liquid nitrogen in there. You leave yourself a little bit of headroom by going light on the granular. Great question. All right. Let's see. So Rosie, the little budgie, I think you're new to the live stream. I've not seen you before, so welcome, Rosie. Says, how do I get it to grow? I guess you're asking about your grass. How do I get your grass to grow vigorously? Okay, so I'm going to answer this question as if you have a warm season grass like Bermuda. And the thing is, some of that's in your control, Rosie, and some of it is not in your control. So the things that Bermuda needs, the things that make it hulk out, are sunlight, heat, and nitrogen, right? So making sure that your lawn is getting enough nitrogen, that it's getting enough, the right kind of fertilizer, is important. But especially if you're in Georgia, we've had, I won't say it's really a cool snap, but it's been cooler for this time of year than it normally has been. So, if you're looking at your lawn, you're saying, hey, my lawn's not greening up as well as it should be, and you're sure you put some fertilizer down on it, some nitrogen on it, then really it's just it could be a temperature thing, it could be a shade thing. And then once we have all that, right, so we've got sunlight, we've got the right fertilizer. The next thing, believe it or not, is kind of counterintuitive to get your grass to begin growing and begin filling in nicely, is to mow it. So the more often you mow your lawn, I say for someone starting out, like twice a week is a good number. When you mow the grass, you're like starting this machine that's going to cause the grass to recover, to grow, to take up nutrients and stuff that you're putting into the soil, like all that fertilizer you're putting down. So mowing your lawn twice a week, even though it seems counterintuitive, like, hey, I want it to grow, why would I cut it off if I'm trying to get it to grow? It's you're like simulating that growth. You're starting the machine that's going to cause the grass to drop nutrients from the soil and just begin filling in. If you're really trying to be particular, you're trying to get the best possible results, you're trying to get your lawn to get as green as quickly as possible using the best product as you can, I really recommend getting a soil test done. So the soil test that I like is the one from My Soil, this guy. And they're super easy to use. If you're going to get one of these guys as well. These are money, like the probe. And what this will do is you'll collect samples from around your lawn, put them in the soil test kit, send them out. About a week later, you're going to get your results back, and it's going to tell you exactly what kind of fertilizer you should be applying to your lawn, along with anything else. You might need lime, you might need, you never know, might need like ammonium sulfate. Who knows, right? But the soil test result will tell you exactly the best fertilizer is going to be the best fit for your lawn. So it depends on how hardcore you're trying to get. That is something I'd recommend. These are only like $30, and it's like a great investment, in my opinion, in producing a great lawn. Like I soil test my lawn quarterly. Not saying everyone needs to do that, but it's the data you get from it does allow you to make better decisions. And if you're looking to get one, you can pick them up at the Golf Course Lawn Store. So hopefully that helps. But I will tell you that once it starts growing, Mowing is the important thing. Don't get out there and just try and throw a ton of nitrogen at your lawn to try and get it to grow. You want to use the right amount and then just mow it. And I promise it's going to fill in nicely. You're not going to have any surge issues. Your lawn's gonna look really nice by using the right amount of fertilizer and just mowing your lawn a lot. That's hugely important. All right. Let's see what other questions we got here. Fernie C says, Ron Henry, is the RS, the Focus, still alive? If so, any recent major performance mods? I don't have the Focus anymore. It's been sold, it's going on almost 3 years now. And last I heard it was somewhere in Tennessee. So I don't know who has it. I don't know what state it's in, but I do not have it anymore. But I appreciate you watching the channel. Obviously, you're a longtime viewer if you're asking about the RS, but it's not in my possession anymore. So, all right. Next question. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right. So Troy Ridley says, hey, Ron, I just got my soil test back. See, it's almost like a segue. Here's the thing. I didn't tell Troy to ask about a soil test question, but you see how it kind of works together there, Rosie? All right. He says, I got my soil test back and I'm low on just about everything. Don't you just hate that? He says, how long will it take putting down a triple 12 monthly for it to bring up my numbers? Great question. And the answer is it just depends, right? So at Troy, I think I remember looking at your soil test results, and I think we settled on something like 5 pounds per 1,000 for the first application, and then after that, we're going to step it down a little bit. And what you're going to see is, if you test again in the fall, you should see your numbers higher. But the thing is that the grass is going to look better once you start putting down a balanced fertilizer on it. So I wouldn't necessarily, in other words, you didn't pass the test if we did a soil test, you put down a triple 12, and then we have to wait until you do another soil test to see if things are better. If you only soil test your lawn once per year and you fertilize your lawn based on that, I can promise you your lawn is going to look better. It's going to look greener and because you're using a fertilizer that is better matched to what's going on in the soil. And then what you can do is, let's say we did one now, if you wanted to do another one in August, September, it just depends. By then you could see, if the levels came up, that means that I'm building up those nutrient levels in the soil. If they stayed about the same or they only moved a little bit, maybe I need to add more. I need to go a little bit heavier. So depending on how particular you want to be, if you want to be able to make an adjustment mid-season before we get to going into dormancy. If you want to do it again, another one, say July, that'd probably be a good time to do it. If you're going to do that, here's how I would go about it. You want to give yourself 3 to 4 weeks or so between from the time you time you apply a fertilizer to the time you do another soil test. In other words, you wouldn't want to put down a fertilizer and then go soil test your lawn the next day. So if you're fertilizing monthly, what would happen is, let's say you put down your fertilizer in the beginning of June, right? You're doing it at the beginning of every month. When it's the day before you're going to do your next application, so say the end of June or early July, that is when you would use one of these guys, get your soil sample, send that out. And then when you get that back, you'll know what to do for the following month. So you want to make sure you give yourself as much time as possible between the last time you applied fertilizer to the next time you take your sample in the lawn. That's the only thing I'd give you. But that triple 12 is an excellent product. The one that we recommended, it's got everything in it. It's got micronutrients in it. It's even got a little bit of a little extra iron. So your lawn is going to green up really nicely once the temperatures get where they need to be. And then just like I said, if you want July, do another soil test and we can see where things are and adjust accordingly. Great question. I like the fact that you're really geeking out on it. Now, here's the thing. Don't let it drive yourself crazy. Don't drive yourself crazy, getting absorbed in the numbers to that level. But just, use it as information to make better decisions as far as what you put in your lawn. Great question. Okay. And Rosie, the little budgie, says, oops, I meant how to get stronger roots. Okay, so getting stronger roots, a couple of things. So if you're assuming your soil needs it, phosphorus tends to promote root growth in your lawn. And also, believe it or not, a good way to get stronger roots is to not water your lawn too much. Don't overwater it. So if you force the grass to have to search for water by going deep, that's something that's really gonna, that comes from not putting water on the lawn every day. There's some people, I was talking to one viewer the other day that they're watering their lawn every day, twice a day. They were doing that for just no reason. And I told them, hey, we gotta stop doing that. You're going to create fungus problems. You're going to do, and you're also going to create a situation where as soon as you stop watering the grass, it's going to shrivel up. It's going to fall back. So you want to create a grass that is strong enough that really you want to have to put as few inputs in it as possible to get a good result, right? So for stronger roots, a good phosphorus fertilizer, assuming your soil needs it. Also the carbon kit. So also like the what's in the Miramichi Green carbon kit, it has the products that are in that, especially like the NutriKelp. Those will also help stimulate root growth. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Rosie, there's a kit that I put together with Miramichi Green. I'll show you. This guy here, the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit, it consists of 3 products, right? You've got Release Zero, which is micronized carbon, NutriKelp, which is primarily kelp, and also has some micronized carbon in it and some humic acid. And then also you have BioSpectrum, which is a microbial package that helps, increase the microbial activity, which helps improve the uptake or making any fertilizer that you apply to your lawn more available to the grass. So this is a great kit or a great suite of products to apply to your lawn if you're just trying to improve overall plant health. But yeah, I mean, like I said, get a soil test done. If you need phosphorus, absolutely do that. And then if you can incorporate something like the carbon kit in as well, that will also help as well. So great question. All right, next up here we have Wise Guy. His temps have been unusually cool this May. Yeah, tell me about it, right? His future predictions look promising though, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I looked at the weather forecast and it's something like Friday of next week is when we get into the 80s, which, hopefully it comes sooner, but yeah, what can you do? All right, got Helmut Ruckus in the house. Mr. Porsche, he says, thank God it's Friday and Ron is on. Well, thank God it's Friday. Me being on, that's, I don't know if I'd put that, in the same categories of being Friday, but still, I'm glad that you are enjoying the live stream, that you're hanging out this evening, man. Really appreciate it. Always nice to see you on. All right, so we got a question here from Robert Vito, and I'm sorry I'm butchering your name, Vito, I think it is. He says, good evening. I received my R&R leveling rake yesterday. Nice rake. Very nice rake. Next to order my big yellow bag and get on with leveling my centipede. Any advice is important. Okay, great. So you're going all out, Robert. So you got there, you're getting the rake, you're going with the big yellow bag as far as like their leveling mix, which is great stuff. As far as recommendations, so here's the thing. I am a fan. A lot of people will tell you you don't need to aerate the lawn whenever you top dress, as far as you top dressing. I am a fan of doing that because when you aerate the lawn and you put down your leveling mix, it's going to help whatever you put down. In this case, that compost and sand blend integrate better with your existing soil. And then the second benefit that a lot of people don't think about is if you ever have a heavy rain and you have any kind of a slope, any kind of a grade in your lawn, if you heavily aerate your lawn before top dressing, it's going to help the existing turf hold on to that sand a little bit better. Like when we had a huge rain, like 2 days worth of rain, like 6 inches over 2 days right after I top dressed, literally the day after I finished top dressing the lawn, and I didn't lose any sand in the back, I didn't lose any sand on the slope, and a lot of that is largely because of the fact that I aerated the lawn. So I know it's a pain to do, but I would highly recommend that. The next thing I'd say is, use a quality fertilizer. So the process really is, in my mind, how I like to do top dressing is aerate the lawn, put down a quality fertilizer. I like Humic Max. You guys can see the results, how quickly the lawn bounced back from using that. You can get that at the Golf Course Lawn Store. It's a 1608. It's going to work on any grass type. If you can as well, introduce some kind of, some organic material in addition to that level mix. You really don't need it as much with the yellow bag stuff because it's really, really good stuff. But if you want to put down like some Carbon Pro G or Essential G, that's the time to do it because again, the lawn is all opened up. Anything you put down is going to get fast tracked into the soil. And then now we're at the leveling phase. When you level, go light. There's no reason to bury the lawn in a ton of sand. Again, if you have Bermuda, you can absolutely do that. You can get away with it. But I'm not a fan of it because it's going to take the lawn longer to grow back, and you're also going to increase the likelihood that you're going to lose sand if there's any heavy rain. So go light, take your time, have a buddy, have a friend. Do not do it by yourself. It is not fun leveling. I don't know how big your lawn is, but not something you really want to do by yourself. And then after that, man, just continue to do a good job working the material in. And then after you're done, water the lawn for the first 3 days every day, just to kind of help that material settle, and continue to use your leveling rake even after you're done to help the lawn settle, help the land settle in really well. Kind of like what you saw in that video, the video that I did on top dressing, like that is the process that I would follow. And just enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the everything that's gonna go along with that. Your lawn's gonna look great after you're done with it, but it's gonna be some work. And if I can help with anything else, feel free to reach out to me. You get my email address. It's ron@golfcourselawn.com. I don't know where my email, there it is right there. So if you have any other questions, you can email me here and I'll help you out as best as I can. But you've got it, man. You got the good material. You got the rake. You know the process. Just take your time and have fun with it. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Ryan Williams says, "Hey Ron, I just killed off my Kentucky bluegrass and perennial ryegrass with Roundup. How long should I wait before planting Arden 15?" I'd give it a couple of weeks. So if you did your, let's say you did it today, because today's the middle of May. So you did it today. By June 1st, that'd be a good time. Plus, also, since we haven't had a ton of heat yet, that's going to be a better time to get faster germination with Arden 15 if you wait a little longer. So I would give it a couple of weeks before putting down the Arden 15. That's going to be a fun project. And again, Ryan, kind of like I've always said, not to beat a dead horse, but if you are going to put down Arden or you're going to seed Bermuda, it requires a lot of water, right? So make sure you don't allow the ground to ever really dry out as part of the process. And once the heat gets here, you should get a really good result. Great task, man. Good job on that. Should be a fun project. All right, so question we have here is from Stephen Edmonds. He says, "Any recommendations on leveling new sod that's sinking? Should I do like a traditional lawn? The lawn is on a slope about twice the size of yours, it appears. Thinking about throwing some seed down too." Okay, so I would not. So as far as top dressing or putting sand on relatively new sod, you can do that. Like there's actually a couple of subdivisions around here, like where they this new one they built down the road for me, where they put in like the entrance part of it. They put down like Bermuda, and literally when they were done, they followed up with putting down sand, like a top dressing mix on top of it to kind of smooth it out. So you can do that. You just can't go heavy. So you can't bury the new sod in sand if when you're first starting out. As far as the slope, you say yours is your slope is twice the size, but it's not steep or not twice as steep. With it being new sod, I really wouldn't want you to go out and aerate that. We want to let that root and grow in a little bit better before we start, introducing a lot of trauma to it. So if you're going to also do the slope, I would just go light. Just go light, and just realize that when it comes to a slope, top dressing a slope is a process. It is not a one and done. Unless it's a very light slope, you're looking at several times to really get to build it up and get it to where you want it. So given this is you just got the new sod in, you've got some areas that are sinking, some low spots, just do a light top dress and just kind of work on it, because we're so early in the season, Stephen, that if you did one now, let's say this weekend you went out and you did it, right? You could do another top dress conceivably late June. You could do another one. You could do another layer if you weren't already burned out and like done with top dressing after this one. You could do it again this season without a problem. So considering that we're so early, just go light and just do a couple of light ones to kind of build things up, and you'll get a good result. But just realize it takes time. It takes time to get the lawn to where you want it. Congrats on the new lawn. And as far as seed, I would not put down any seed on new sod. You just put new sod in. Like we don't need to. So seed is not, especially Bermuda seed, is not the answer to everything. And especially since you just got a brand new sod that you just got installed, I'd let that grow in first. Let it grow in, see how it looks, get it established, like get it doing well. And then just see from there. I can tell you that if you try to apply seed to your lawn, to sod essentially, because the sod isn't really rooted in that well, you're probably not going to get a very good result. And there's really no reason to do it as yet, because the sod hasn't rooted, hasn't established. I would give the sod a chance to win your love, to win your affection before you try and introduce some other seed into the lawn. That would be my recommendation. Great question. Hopefully that helps. And if you need anything else, feel free to drop me an email at ron@golfcourselawn.com. Great question. And Rosie says, "I'm rushing with the questions. I made too many typos." Yeah, no problem. No problem. I know you're trying to get your question in early. You're like, I don't want to get too far back in the queue, so it takes forever for him to answer it. So I totally get what you are after there, Rosie. No worries at all. All right. And yeah, and Skill Musician says, yeah, he meant using peat moss or compost as your topper over the seed. So in that case, you can use peat. As far as a topper, you can use either one. You can use either one. For Zoysia seed and Bermuda seed, like you're really, like the seed is so small and you're going to go so light that really you could almost put down, you could do what I did in the front line, what I've done in the past, is you could like put down the top dressing layer and then put the seed down and then simply rake the seed in. Just drag over it with like a leveling rake or like a garden rake. Like that's going to disturb it enough to where it's going to, it only takes, a 1/16 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch, just a little bit of coverage. You don't want to bury it very deep at all. So either way is going to work fine. Just make sure you don't go too heavy if you put the seed down and then you put the peat moss on top of it, or compost in your case. Great question. All right. So Andrew Flung says, I just ordered a Humic Max. I have Zoysia. I know nitrogen requirements are 1.5 to 2.5 pounds. Less than Bermuda, that's probably per year. That's not definitely not per month. If anything, that'd be per year. Should I stay at the recommended rate and do less applications, or lower the rate and do once a month? So yeah, so here's the thing. I would go at the recommended rate once a month, because if we take like that 2.5 pound rate, right? The Humic Max at the recommended rate, the rate that I applied on my lawn, which is 3 pounds per thousand, puts down like 0.48 pounds of nitrogen. So let's just call it half a pound of nitrogen, right? So if we take that half a pound of nitrogen and divide that into your 2.5 pounds per year, that's like 5 months. And we don't really have a 5-month growing season. So really, by the time you are starting to back it down, we're going to be, your zoysia is going to be starting to fall off into the fall and starting to go dormant anyway. So half a pound of nitrogen is going to be just fine. If you want to put a little more down, you can. But the rate on the bag at that 3 pounds per thousand is going to work well in your zoysia lawn. Because for Bermuda, really, I am really putting less nitrogen in Bermuda than it really calls for, because I'm also supplementing it with the Turfplex, with that liquid fertilizer. So for zoysia, half a pound, it's going to be perfect. It's going to work really, really well. It should work great on your lawn. Definitely let me know how it works out. I know LG, I haven't seen him in here tonight as yet, but he's put it down on his lawn and he's had some really good results with it. And Jay says, "Love you, bro. Love you too, man. I really, I appreciate it. I know. Here's the thing. Listen, you got a cool season grass, and we can't all be perfect, but I still appreciate the fact you come and hang out in the live stream, even though you don't have any of the almighty Bermuda. So, I definitely look right back at you. All right. Next up we have is Rohinton Mystery 24. He says, "Ron, hey, thanks for doing these. Thank you for chiming in, or else I wouldn't be here to do them." He says, "Appreciate you. I've seen replacement reels aftermarket for the Greensmaster go for $250 online. Worth buying and installing myself, or too much trouble?" So you're going to get different answers to this one, Rohin. In my opinion, given the fact that on a homeowner's lawn, right? So even though we think we mow a lot, like the way Greensmasters or greens mowers are run on a golf course is way harder than we do on our home lawns. So it's unlikely that if you replace the reel in this mower that you have, that you're going to be doing another one probably for the life of the time you have the mower. So if it's me, I would, if there's not a huge price difference, and $250 is going to be cheaper than what you can get a genuine Toro reel for. A genuine Toro reel is going to be closer to $300, maybe $350, somewhere abouts there, depending on which one you get. I would just go genuine, because why not just have like the steel in them is going to be better. Like they're new Edge series reels. Like it's harder, the geometry is better. And again, you're not going to replace it. Like if this were like a every year discussion, then yeah, get a cheaper reel because you're going to be going through them every year. But with a greens mower on a home lawn, you're going to put this new reel in, and it's going to be a thing. You're not going to replace it anytime soon. So I would get a good one. I would go with if it were me, I would get one from Toro. As far as doing it yourself, I've never actually done it myself, so I don't know how much work there is involved in it. But here's the thing, right? Even if you could do it yourself, you're still going to want to like take the mower into like like Jerry Peat or someone else that works on reels, and just make sure that everything is trued up nicely. That if you shouldn't really need to grind it, but if there is any adjustments that need to be made, that they can get that right. So if it were me, I would take it to a professional. I would take it to, if you're in the Atlanta area, I'm not sure if you are, but if you're in the Atlanta area, I would just take it down to Joey and the guys at Jerry Peat and just let them deal with it. Because, as part of replacing the reel, they're going to replace the bearings. They're also going to go through the mower and see, hey, does it need new belts? Does it need anything else? That while it's apart, we can get all that stuff done. So for me, I would just send it to them and just let them deal with it. It's such an infrequent thing that it's not worth messing with yourself. And then if you have a problem, you got to take it to them anyway. And then plus there's other aspects of it that really would be more difficult to do yourself anyway. Like you don't have a machine to grind or adjust the the angle of the bed knife, like the cut of the bed knife, the grind of the bed knife, or anything like that. So ultimately you have to take it to them anyway. So why not just let them do all of it, in my opinion? But that's just my thoughts on the matter. All right, so let's see what other questions we have here. Daniel Robinson says, "Hey Ron, happy Friday." Happy Friday, sir. He says, "I'm getting my Tiff Tough lawn sod put down on Monday. Nice, very cool. I have applied some lime to the soil and some Carbon Pro G. Can I put down some Nutrizolve down as well too?" Yeah, I would do the Nutrizolve after the sod has gone down, Daniel. Like the Nutrizolve is, while you can put it down on the soil and it will help some, it's primarily designed to be sprayed on like grass. It's like foliar absorbed, right? So you're going to get more out of it if you wait for the sod to be installed. And then if you want to spray the Nutrizolve on top of the new sod, go to town. Because again, literally all it is like a vitamin package, right? It's got all your micronutrients, and it's also got a little bit of that seaweed, a little bit of kelp extract. I think they're C extra, additive is what they call it. Like that would be good to do after the sod is installed. I wouldn't do that ahead of time because you're just not going to get as much out of it as you would if you wait for the grass to be installed. And since it's going down on Monday, think about it. If you wait, now you get to spray something on your brand new sod, right? That you know is not going to damage it. You know, you wouldn't want to spray like a liquid fert on it right away, but Nutrisolve, good to go. Then if you also have the carbon kit, you can also do that. The day it's installed, you can feel free to put that down on the lawn too as well if you want. Great question. All right, he says, what else? He says a follow-up here. He says, what else can I do beforehand? Is there a limit to how much Carbon Pro G I can use? Yeah, I mean, there is a practical limit. Like I think something like, we did the math on it. If you were putting down something like 25 to 30 bags per 1,000 square feet, that's, if you look at some of the research papers, that's about where you get to the point where you have, enough biochar, or you get to the point where, like, for the research that's been done anyway, where you get to the point where you're at something like 20 pounds of per 1,000 of actual biochar in your soil, which is really, really hard to get to. So you're just not 20, 120 pounds of biochar per 1,000, which is really hard to get to. So in all intents and purposes, no, you can put it down super heavy if you want. Like whenever granted, I'm not putting down sod, but whenever I top dress my lawn, I went super heavy with the Essential G. I've literally put down 6 bags, which would normally do my entire lawn over 10,000 square feet, because I really wanted to feed the soil, because you're not really going to hurt anything with it. It's just, other than your pocketbook, other than your wallet, there's not really any negative to putting it down heavily. Most people are never going to get to the point to that 120 pounds per 1,000 square foot rate, because it just takes so much of it to be able to do that. So great question. Congrats, man. It's good that you're thinking about how to get your lawn better, and getting the soil as good as you can for that new sod that's going in. The lawn is going to do well. I am sure. I can see it in the distance. Soil's going to do well. All right, let's see what else we have here. So A. Cardenas has a question on spoon feeding. He says, hey, Ron, not sure if I saw this somewhere else or in a previous chat, but can you spoon feed the Miramichi green stack, i.e., I don't know what Q15. Oh, I guess every 15 days. Yes, so absolutely. So I actually did a video on this. A. Cardenas. Well, actually, that's not that is kind of sort of true. I did a video that shows like my spoon feeding program, which is to put down the Humic Max at the beginning of the month, and then the Miramichi, and then the Turfplex. And then 15 days later to do another Turfplex application. You absolutely can do the carbon kit along with that. So if you're in the Golf Course Lawn Academy, like the course that I do, in that course there's some content in there around that that really has you mixing for your liquids. You're putting down, along with Turfplex, you're also doing the carbon kit along with that. So yes, to answer your question, all those things can be mixed together. The Turfplex and the Miramichi Green carbon kit, they can all go together in your spoon feeding program, no issue whatsoever. The only thing I would say is that if your plan is to apply the carbon kit twice a month, you're going to want to half the rate. Okay, so the way that the kit is spec'd out, right? We think it's like 2 ounces per 1,000 square feet once per month. So if you're going to say, I want to put down the Miramichi Green, I want to put down the NutriKelp, the Release Zero, along with my Turfplex twice a month, we're just going to half that. So you're going to put down, 1 ounce per 1,000 or 4 ounces in a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, and you can do that twice a month. So whenever the Turfplex goes down, the Miramichi Green goes down. The only thing that you're not going to apply twice per month is the biospectrum, because of the way that it's delivered, the capsules that are in that are given. Really, you can only do that once a month, and you really need to do it once a month. So hopefully that helps. But yes, you absolutely can apply them in a spoon feeding program. In the course, we go into a lot of detail on that. But there you go. You got like a snippet of some of the stuff that's in the course. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. No issues whatsoever. That is what I do on my lawn. All right, let's see what else we got here. Myrtle says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. I appreciate these Q&A sessions. Can I fly you out to Oregon to make my lawn perfect? I can't make if I'm out there for like a week, I could look at it and be like, yeah, you need to do this and this and this and this. But then like making a lawn look really good takes a lot of time. I don't, again, if I could bottle like perfect lawn, I'd be a really, really rich person. But unfortunately, that's not really a thing. If a lot of the content in the course is not in the course or on the channel is not enough, you can always look at the course. Like there's a lot, it's more structured. Or if you look at the Fix My Ugly Lawn series, the one that we did with Alex when we did his entire lawn, the entire transformation. I think I've got that here somewhere. Yep, this one here. This series will show you everything that we did, from like taking a lawn with weeds in it all the way through to turning it into a golf course lawn. So I'll put that here in the chat for you now at Myrtle. This one here. But really, man, I mean, if you want in a nutshell, here's how to get an amazing lawn in like 30 seconds. As I would suggest you do it. First thing, let's get weeds under control. So you're going to do a broad, a blanket spray of a herbicide that is safe for your lawn to knock the weeds back. While we're doing that, we're going to get a soil test done because this is going to allow us to know what kind of fertilizer we need to apply to our lawn. We're going to apply that fertilizer at the correct rate. And then comes the fun part, mowing. Really, once you know what fertilizer to apply, the weeds are dying off, they're hating life. Literally, if you can mow your lawn twice a week, that's going to be the big thing to getting your lawn in really good shape. Watering is important as well too, but that's in a nutshell, that's what it's going to really take to get a good looking lawn. Now we can get into more advanced stuff like top dressing it. If you don't have irrigation, getting that stuff put in. But in a nutshell, it's knock the weeds back, apply the correct fertilizer, and then mow it all the time. Mow it a lot, and that's what it really takes to get a great looking lawn. But yeah, and if you have any other questions, so after you watch that series, like the series with Alex's lawn and the transformation, if you have any questions outside of that, feel free to shoot me an email here, ron@golfcourselawn.com, and I will do my best to help you out. So, but yeah, Oregon should be, you guys, one thing with you guys, you shouldn't have to water very much because you guys get rain all the time there, right? So watering is going to be easy for you. All right, let's see. All right, so Andrew Fluvog says a question. Is a tough one. He says, "Hey, can you explain the difference between Carbon Pro G, Essential G, and some sort of humic acid spray? Does granular liquid provide any benefit over the other?" Great question. Okay, so let's start with Carbon Pro G and Essential G. So the big difference between those two is the amount of the makeup of them and what's in them. So Carbon Pro G is half or 47% biochar and 47% compost, and it has a microbial package added as well. So Carbon Pro G for the most part is just 3 ingredients. Essential G, that's like the new kid on the block that Miramichi Green came out with. That has biochar. It has more compost. It's like 40% compost or something like that in there. It has 5% humic acid, which Carbon Pro G does not have, and it also has 5% silica. Right, which is, in a nutshell, it's an additive. It's a new additive that's becoming more popular that helps improve like the cell wall strength of the grass. It physically makes the grass stronger, which is going to help with disease resistance and those kinds of things. So Carbon Pro G, excellent product. Essential G, excellent product. It's the new kid on the block as far as like a newer formulation that Miramichi Green has come out with. And comparing that now to a humic acid spray, so you can think of like Carbon Pro G and Essential G as like a blend of like a complete package to feed your soil, right? You've got compost, you've got silica, you've got humic acid, you've got a microbial package, you've got biochar. With humic acid, when you spray humic acid, all you're putting down is just humic acid, right? Which is good. It's a great biostimulant. It's great to help improve the quality of your soil. But I would argue that using something like Essential G is a more complete product to apply because it has humic acid in it. And it has several other things. Like the biggest thing is biochar. Like the biochar is really good because it helps the soil retain nutrients. It helps with nutrient uptakes, helps with water retention. It's just a really, really good additive to have in your lawn care program. So, if you think about it, like I do a combination of both, Andrew. So I do the Granular, which is the Essential G on my lawn, but then also the NutriKelp, like this product here, if I can get around here and do it, like this product actually has a little bit of humic acid in it, right? This is a small amount, right? As well as kelp. So, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an either or type thing. I would say a granular biostimulant is a good thing to do. And then if you're also spraying your lawn, so you're spraying like a liquid fertilizer of some sort, adding in something like the carbon kit, like NutriKelp and Really Zero, also makes sense too if that helps. So not so much an either or. It's like they all kind of work together. But if you can only do one, like out of what you've given me there, Carbon Pro G or Essential G is what I would go with because it's more complete. Great question. All right, Princess Cut Lawn Care. George gave me a hard time. He says, "Hey, Ron, did you get a haircut or something?" I did, sir. I mean, I cut it. I think it was cut last week. I cut it before the last live stream too. So this haircut's probably, I don't know, this is probably like 10 days, 12 days old. I gotta clean it up here probably sometime next week. But yeah, I cut it myself. I don't go to a barber. I just cut my hair myself. I don't like spending time in a barber shop, so I just do it myself. As you can tell, I mean, I don't have an edge up. I ain't got it all lined out, but it looks all right, and the price is right, so yeah. And you're probably seeing just the lighting. Maybe I don't know, visuals are slightly different. I did change some things, so maybe that's what you're seeing. All right. Always great to have you in the live stream. And George, there was someone in the live stream earlier that asked about tenacity. So if you didn't as yet, be sure to link that video that you just did on tenacity so they can see how to mix it and all this kind of stuff. Always awesome to have you in the live stream. All right. So Daniel Ferreira is talking about POA. He says, I might be going on a Poanua pulling field trip in the yard this weekend. How many POAs can one pull by hand in a single session? They're popping up everywhere despite the February pre-emergent. Okay, so yeah, Daniel. So a couple of things. At this point, I wouldn't necessarily drive yourself too crazy with POA. If you're open to spraying something on your lawn, like Image is a good option for knocking out POA, and that's not likely to harm your grass. But as temperatures get warmer, like the heat is also going to take care of POA too. Let me see if I have that video here for you. I think I've got one. I did a video actually on how to use Image in your lawn to get rid of POA. And I will, yep, here it is right here. I got it right here. Cool. And so if you look at this, and this will show you how to mix it at Daniel, how to mix the Image and how to spray it. And that would be a good option. As far as why your February pre-emergent didn't work, is because the way you take care of POA, it's not with a spring pre-emergent, it's with a fall pre-emergent. So POA begins to germinate in the fall, so like September, November, like that time frame. And really now that the heat's here, now you're really seeing it, but it's been in your lawn all season. It's been in your lawn over the winter. So spring pre-emergent doesn't do a whole lot to prevent POA. You have to make sure you get it down in the fall. So that's why even though you put down a February pre-emergent, you're still seeing POA in your lawn because you probably didn't do one in the fall. But what you shouldn't see if you did a February pre-emergent is you should see a lot less weed pressure from things like crabgrass and other and spurge and other warm weather weeds, like weeds that like hot weather. Those should be a lot less present in your lawn as temperatures warm up, if they ever warm up. One can only hope, right? But yeah, you can pull it if you want. I mean, it is kind of nice. POA is not difficult to pull, but I might just spray it out with some Image if you want to get rid of it, or just wait, because temps from now are starting to warm up from here, and then the POA is going to die off here pretty soon. All right, Jay teed up as a question about decontaminating a backpack sprayer. He says, hey, what is the best way to decontaminate a backpack sprayer after using Roundup? I would just rinse it very, very heavily. So if you have an area, not of the lawn, like an area of like a plant bed or something, like a designated like sacrificial zone where you can run the sprayer, what I would do, like what I do with any with my backpack sprayer after I do anything with herbicides, is after it's fully empty, I've already sprayed everything I'm going to spray, I put about 2 to 3 inches of water in it, and then I run that, like I swash it around, and I run that through the sprayer. That's going to be like a diluted mix of whatever's left in there. I dump that out, and then I put, again, another 2-3 inches of just plain water. At that point, you really shouldn't have too much Roundup left. And then I run the your backpack sprayer for 30 seconds. That's going to allow it to flush whatever is left in the pump, in the lines, any of that stuff in the wand out. So if there's any residue, which there really shouldn't be, there's not going to be so much. It's not going to be in such a concentration that's high enough to do any damage to the lawn when you spray the next thing, if that makes sense. So really, just run water through it a couple of times and you'd be good to go. So that's what I do with herbicides, and I've had really good results with it. Great question. And then Daniel Tillman, he says, hey man, drop a like for my man Ron. I appreciate that, sir. For those of you that are just joining the live stream, I know we're only an hour or so in, but if you guys wouldn't mind touching that like button ever so gently while I take a sip of my lemonade. Guys, the lemonade's back this week. I would really appreciate it. It's free to you, easy way to support the channel, and it helps drive more people to our fun thing that is the Lawn Care live stream on Friday nights. All right. I'd appreciate it. Higgy Pop also seconds that, saying, everyone hit the like button for Ron. I thank you so much for the sir. And look for the next question here. Sanj Singh says, he's doing his first top dress ever, 50-50, so half sand, half soil mix, only option in town. Wish you luck. I wish you luck, sir. You should get a good result with that. I mean, so here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with a 50-50 mix. The fact that you get it and it's already mixed is good, because I see some people that want to mix it themselves, and that's fine if you have a small lawn, but whatever you can get delivered is what I would roll with. 70-30 is probably better from like a pure leveling perspective, like to get more structure, but you're going to still get a great result. You're going to love the way your lawn looks with a 50-50 top dressing mix. So yeah, congratulations. I think, like I've said to the other viewer, I'm not sure how long you've been in the live stream, but go light. Don't feel like you have to fix everything the first time around. Go light. There's plenty of time left in the season that if you want to top dress the lawn again, you've got time to do that. Okay, great stuff. All right, lawn therapy has a great question. He says, "Do you do GD? So it's degreeing days. I think it's grass degree days. I guess I forget what the actual G in it is for. Something to do with grass, right? But pretty much it says, do you do that for your PGR apps or do you apply on your own interval? I go on an interval every month. I just apply it. So because I like simple. And because TNEX, for the most part, has a regulation period of 3 to 4 weeks, which kind of corresponds or lines up nicely with my spoon feeding program, what happens is, like, good example, like I just topped your salon, right? The day after, which was May 1st, I think, it was Sunday or May 2nd, whatever it was, I did my carbon kit and I also did TNEX. I did my first TNEX application of the season. So what's going to happen now is June 1st, another TNEX application is going to go down along with the Turfplex and the Miramichi Green carbon kit. Like all that's going to go down in the backpack spray. That's what I've just done. I know you can get technically better results, or you can be more precise by using the degree days methodology, using I think the Greenskeeper app. Like that is like how some people like to do it. But what that would mean for me with 12,000 square feet is either I'm going to be applying TNEX early, like a few days early or a week early, or I'm going to be applying TNEX a week or a few days late. And I'm just not that nerdy to where I want to do like yet another application of with a covering 12,000 square feet with my backpack sprayer. So I just keep it simple. Once a month, beginning of the month, that's when PGR goes down. Great question. I've gotten that one before, but it's a good question. All right, let's see what else we got. Robert says, "Enjoy the process. Great advice." It is, man. I mean, it's everyone wants an amazing lawn, but here's the thing. I will let you guys in on a secret. You will never be 100% satisfied with your lawn. It's just never going to happen. Kind of like people that start like housing projects. Like they say, "Oh, we're just going to renovate this part of the house. We're going to do this." How a house is never done, like a lawn is also really never done, right? I'm sure if you asked Augusta National, you went and talked to, the greenskeeper, the people that run that facility. I'm sure they can point out all kinds of parts of the facility that they're not happy with. They want to change and make better, right? Even though to us it looks like perfection, they can find flaws in it. So just enjoy it. It's always going to get better over time, and just keep working at it, right? That is the beauty of lawn care. You never get it 100%. There's always something to fix. All right. Jay has a question, I think, about fungicide. He says, should I think to be proactive for disease control or reactive? Guessing don't throw if I don't need it, but what say you? Great question. So I've kind of taken, the first time I got a fungus in my lawn, I used to be of the reactive camp until I got brown patch in my lawn the first time, like 4 years ago. And ever since then, fungicide's gone down every single spring. So if you don't have an active fungus outbreak in your lawn, Jay, something like Caravan G is a great option. Reason being that it's if you've not put down a celloprene, you haven't done an insecticide as yet, it's a good product that is going to act as like a month-long preventative anyway for lawn fungus. And you're also going to get down an insecticide to keep grub worms at bay. So I have become a fan of doing a preventative fungicide application. The time to do that, like when it's most likely to happen, is around now. So like May, June-ish is the time frame that you want to be shooting for. So right now, if you haven't done anything as yet, let me do this for you at Jay. Then Caravan G is a great option if you want something that is both an insecticide and fungicide. If you've already done an insecticide, so you've already done something like a celloprene, and all you're looking for is just a fungicide, you have a choice between like Headway G or Heritage G. Of the two, I like Headway G because it's 2 active ingredients in it. It's a little bit more expensive, but as far as like if you're only going to put it down once and you want to take a chance, you want to have like 2 modes of action that will suppress or knock down anything that might be coming up. Headway G, in my opinion, is a better choice. Again, a little bit more pricey, but if you're only going to be doing it once per season, why not use the good stuff, right? And you can get that also from that same link that I just sent you. If you click on that link and then you just search for Headway G or Heritage G, you'll be able to find it and should be good to go. So yeah, I am a fan of proactive fungicide applications. And I'm going to have to start doing them in the fall too, because if you guys saw my lawn, I got like a little bit of spring dead spot, and that's due to not doing fungicide in the fall. I haven't been doing that up until now, but this fall I'm going to have to do it, looks like. Great question, sir. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. I think I scrolled a little bit too far. Wise Guy says, thanks for that product recommendation for your Zoysia. You're very welcome, sir. Anytime. And then Barton Janigan says, how can I purchase Pro Peat fertilizer in Hawaii? I don't know, sir. Hawaii is one of those places that's kind of tough, right? Because Even if you could get, I think Pro-Peat's a granular, I believe so. But even if you could get it, like shipping is going to probably cost more than the price of the fertilizer. So I might find something local that you can roll with that will work well, because shipping, if you could find it, it's going to be really expensive to get it out there. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Anthony Giuliano says, at Ron Henry, any tips for retaining moisture, nutrients in sandy soil? I'm in Low Country, South Carolina. All right. Yeah. So a couple of things. As far as retaining moisture, the product that I would recommend for that is Hydrotain. So Hydrotain is available in both a granular and liquid. I am personally a more fan of the granular, even though from a cost standpoint, the liquid actually makes more sense. Like, you get more for your money with the liquid, but I like the granular because it's easier to apply. Like, you literally, with the liquid, you have to spray it. The lawn has to be wet. You have to spray it, and then you have to water it in like immediately after spraying it. Like, literally after you're done putting it down, you need to water it in. With the granular, you have like a 3 to 5 day buffer. Literally, you can apply it, wait for rain, and then you're good to go. So I as far as like purely for retaining moisture or for making moisture available to the root system, Hydrotain is what I like. As far as ways to retaining nutrients, that's where biochar is like a beautiful thing, right? So something like this, like Essential G, if I can bring it up, which has some biochar in it, like this, if you can put this down your lawn, this has that biochar, and that's going to help help with moisture retention and also with nutrient availability as well, Anthony. So that's those two are probably what I would roll with. Essential G, and then also Hydrotain. And Hydrotain is also available on the golf course lawn. So if you search for both of them, they're also available there too. So I will put a link to that here in the chat for you. If you want granular, which is the one I would probably go with, that is it right here. Let's see, at Anthony. And then as far as the Essential G, which again, if you're going to do Essential G, get it like this weekend, because the price that's on it, going back to this, the price that's on Essential G right now is a sale price that Miramichi Green allowed me to run. Like, they've already told me that, hey, this weekend it ends. So literally on the 17th, Monday morning, I've got to turn it off and I've got to send it back to the regular price. So Essential G, if you want it, also add that in your lawn care program. Get it this weekend, because they extended it for another 15 days, but they're probably not going to keep it for too much. They're not going to keep it any longer. Like, Monday is going to have to go back to the regular price. So those two are what I would recommend for retaining moisture in a sandy soil, and really in any soil, but in sandy soil, that will help as well. Essential G combined with Hydrotain, you're going to get, that's going to really help with moisture retention and nutrient availability. Great question. All right, let's see what else do we have going on here. So Myrtle says, have you ever pre-germinated grass seed by soaking it in water a few days before overseeding? I've not. I've heard of that. I've heard of that process, Myrtle, but I've never done it. So I don't know how well that would work out. I know it's, per the label or the instructions for Arden 15, I don't really see any mention about doing that on the bag. So I just kind of follow what they say. Pretty much they say, put it down, lightly cover it like 16th of an inch to an eighth of an inch, and then water your heart out. Don't let it dry out for like 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll get Bermuda. So, but no, I've not done what you've suggested. Some people do that, and I think they get really good results, but I can't really speak to it because I've never actually done that. All righty. So Matthew, I am terrible on the names tonight. Matthew Gihohi, Jihohi, I think. Sorry, sir, if I'm butchering your name. He says, how long should I wait to fertilize and mow after reseeding? Thank you for your great work, sir. I would wait till it's growing actively. So here's the thing. So with Bermuda, with my Arden 15, literally every time I put it down, I have not really slowed down on my mowing, right? So, it takes a while to germinate, and at least on my lawn, I have not found that continuing to real mow the lawn has had any negative effect on my germination. Like, I've seen it on the front lawn, which I've gotten really good germination on, and in the back lawn where I've done it in the past, I've mowed through it. If you're dealing with like a cool season grass, like a rye or a fescue, like those, I don't know if those are different. But at a minimum, wait until the grass is growing. Like, actually, per the label of what's on the bag from Pennington. Let's say you're doing Arden 15. I don't know what kind of grass you're doing, but let's say it's Arden 15. What they actually say is, once the grass grows to the height of cut that you plan to maintain it, that's when you should start mowing it. So yeah. So in my case, I maintain my lawn at just under half an inch. So when the grass got to like half an inch, that is when I could do it. because I have like OCD. There's no way I could like not mow my lawn for 3 weeks, especially with warm temperatures. So I've just been mowing it anyway. But yeah, once it grows to about the height of cut that you want to maintain the lawn at, that's when you put a mower on it. A real mower is a little less bad because they don't have that vacuum effect, that sucking effect that rotaries do. With a rotary mower, I definitely would wait until it germinates. With a real mower, not as critical because you're not really, trying to pull the seed out of the lawn where it could get sucked into a bagger or displaced somehow. Great question. All right. Elliot Anders says, greetings, Ron. Remember to touch the like button ever so gently to make Ron's day. Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate that. All right. Let's see what other questions we got here. So Carl Crone, also known as D6 Paintball, says, what would you do for a soil that is overly dry? Even watering twice a day, my boulevard strip is desert dry in a couple hours. Top dress? Till it with compost? No, don't do that one. Remove and replace. Okay. What I would do is a good old-fashioned aeration. Like I would wet the lawn, like let's say you're dealing with your boulevard strip. We'll take that as an example. I would make sure I get that nice and wet the day before, so you've got a little bit of moisture to make it easier for the tines to get in. I would get like a hollow tine core aerator. Like if you can get yourself like a billy goat, those are going to be better because they're not going to necessarily say better, but they're easier to use. You're not going to hate life as much after using that versus some of the other brands. And I would give it a really good aerating. That's going to do a lot for opening up that hard compacted soil. Whenever you water, it's going to give places for water to go into, for nutrients to get into. That's going to do a lot. Like if you can top dress on top of that, that's going to help too. Because top dressing, again, literally outside of smoothing out my lawn, which is what everybody thinks about when they think about top dressing. They think, oh, I want that pool table lawn, which is the main reason why we do it. But a huge benefit of top dressing is what it does to drainage, like how it helps drainage in your lawn. Like my lawn literally just sucks water out really, really well. It gets rid of water way better than it did before I top dressed it. So if you wanted to go all out, what I would say is aerate it heavily. And if you're game, top dress it. And that's going to do a lot for helping improve the quality of your lawn. You can also put down some hydrotain too after you aerate. If you want to put down some hydrotain, that would be that would be something good to do as well. That's going to help draw moisture into the root zone. So even though the soil right now is a little bit dry, that's going to help find water and make it available to the grass for growth. So that was what I would do. I would not till your lawn with compost. The main reason why I'm not a huge fan of that is because as far as making your lawn super uneven and to where you're going to have to top dress it after you're done, that's why I'm not a huge fan of tilling. Like that's great for gardens and it's great if you're planning on like, if you're going to till it and like put something in it, till it, and then you're going to bring some equipment in to actually grade it flat again and like roll it, make sure it's nice and flat to where you're not going to have to deal with a lot of settling issues. That could work, but most people aren't going to do that. So tilling, from what I've seen done on lawns, on most home lawns anyway, it creates more problems than it solves. So, hollow tine, core aerate, and top dress. That's what I would do, Carl. That would be my thing. All right. August Cronus says, not a lawn question, but tech question. Do you prefer Mac OS, Windows, iOS, or Android? I prefer Mac OS. Like I literally am streaming with you guys on a Mac, and I am in iPhone. Mainly reason why is because of what I do for work. Like a lot of the stuff that I like investigations that I do for like ransomware and just malware in general that I have to look at, like reverse engineer and whatnot. Like a lot of those are target Windows, right? Not that there's not malware that targets Mac, but most like malicious software is written to target Windows because it's like everywhere, right? So as far as having a platform that I can work on and have less chance of causing issues on my host OS, that's why I prefer Mac OS. And just like from a security standpoint, because Apple controls the hardware, the operating system, it's a very, very secure platform. You know what I mean? So that's why, as a security person, that's what I like it. And a lot of people in the security industry, you'll find that a lot of security professionals like Macs or Linux. That's what you'll see a lot of them running for that reason. Great question, August. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. We have Leo from Naples Lawn. He says, "Hi, Ron. I finally made it. All right, sir. Congratulations for coming in." I haven't had a mower question yet. I need a mower question so we can clap it up. I haven't had one as yet. We're an hour in and no mower questions. He says, I finally made it. I seeded La Prima Bermuda. It sounds nice. La Prima. It sounds like a very like a nice champagne. Down here in Naples, Florida, where there is no dirt but white sand. When can I start putting down pre-emergent or weed killer? Thanks. Okay, so if you just put down your La Prima Bermuda, once it grows in, the earliest I would consider doing it, and really, the earliest I would consider is like in the fall, like late fall. I'd leave like a late fall pre-emergent application is what I would do, because you want the seed, you want that new lawn to root in properly, and pre-emergent has a negative effect with the grass's ability to grow roots. So I would wait till like late fall at earliest. Really, really, a better answer is to not do it till next spring, not to put down pre-emergent till next spring. That's going to give you the best chance where you're not going to do anything that's going to damage the lawn. Because getting Bermuda to grow from seed is hard enough as it is. I'd hate for you to do something in the fall and then it hurt the grass, and then next spring you get like a splotchy lawn or something like that. So if you're willing to deal with like POA and a few weeds in the next spring, wait till next spring. If you're not up for that, then late fall, let's say like Octoberish, Novemberish, that's when I would do a pre-emergent on a lawn that's being established now. If it's Bermuda. Only if it's Bermuda. If it's other grass types, wait for a year. But Bermuda, you can get away with it. Then as far as post-emergent herbicides, once the lawn is actively growing, so after, let's say you're mowing your lawn at an inch, right? And so it's grown in and you've got, I don't know, 6 weeks of mowing under it, so the lawn's been doing well. If you want to go with a post-emergent herbicide at that point for spot spraying, that's probably going to be fine. I would still try and stay away from blanketing the entire lawn with herbicide as much as you can. But once Bermuda's here, once it's grown in, it's rooted, it's established, it's growing, you're going to have a hard time killing it. But even with that, I would be lighter sparing on the herbicide that you use on the lawn once it's growing in. So hope that helps. Pre-emergent, fall at the earliest, and weed killer. Once the lawn is growing in and established and doing well, you could go light on one. I would recommend spot spraying. Don't blanket the entire lawn. Great question, and congratulations on the Champagne Bermuda, La Prima. So I'm going to call it the Champagne Bermuda. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. So Ken has a question. He says, Ken Norman says, hey Ron, when top dressing, should I hit it hard with nitrogen to get it to grow through faster? If so, liquid or granular? Great question. I wouldn't say hit it hard. I would put down some nitrogen, but I would not hit it hard. I would not go above rate. As far as what I would recommend you use on your lawn when you're as part of top dressing, because I did it on my lawn and I got like awesome results with it, is Humic Max. So at the golf course lawn store, shameless plug, this product, Humic Max, is a 1608, and it is 35% slow release nitrogen, which means it's 65% quick release, right? So this is going to release more quickly over the course of 3 to 4 weeks. And it's going to help the lawn recover a little bit faster. So Humic Max is a great option. I would use that. You can get that at the golf course lawn store. That's what I would go with. I would put that down. I would aerate, apply Humic Max, and then do your top dressing. Water it in after you're done with your top dressing. And it's going to, because it's a faster release fertilizer. I mean, I don't want to say too fast. It's not like urea, but it does release faster than some of the slow release fertilizers out there. It's going to do a good job with helping the grass to punch through and recover a little bit faster. I would not go heavier than the rate. 3 pounds per thousand is plenty. You don't need a lot of it to get a really good result. Great question. Congratulations on top dressing. I salute you. Good job. It's a big task, but your lawn will look better for it. All right. So CJ Martin Jr. says, hey Ron, it's getting ready to rain all next week. A few inches of rain. I have my mower rotary set to 2 inches. Should I scalp it down to 1 inch before the week of rain starts? I don't know that I would do that. I mean, really, when we get a week of rain, I mean, is it going to rain every single day? Because even when we have rain in the forecast, you might be able to find, an hour or a couple of hours, an afternoon when it's not raining or it's dried up somewhere. You can get the mower out there and mow the lawn. You can do it if it's Bermuda. You're not going to really hurt anything. But the thing is, if your lawn is currently at 2 inches and you're going to cut, and you're going to take 1 inch out of it, you're going to scalp that much out of it. That's a lot of material that you're going to be removing. And I don't know if the grass is going to grow back. It's probably not. It's not going to grow back an inch in 1 week. So unless your goal is to start maintaining the lawn at say 1.5 inches, I wouldn't take it down to an inch. So if you're telling me, after this, I want to use this as an opportunity to do a how to cut reset and start mowing my lawn at 1.5 inches. Yeah, sure. If that's the case, you want to scalp it, go for it. But it just is a matter of that it's going to rain a lot and you're not going to have the opportunity to mow it as often. I wouldn't cut an inch off the grass just for that reason, because what's going to grow back is going to look ugly. It's going to be brown. It's just not going to look as good. So if you can find like one window, like mow the day before it's about to rain, and if you can find a window, at least one window throughout that week to get out there and mow it, especially since you're at 2 inches, that's going to be fine. The grass is going to be fine with that. So yeah, I would not scalp it down to 1 inch. Wouldn't do that. All right, great question. All right, so Clayton Wilson has a question here. He says, I'm having trouble understanding this really low cut Bermuda theme. Why not allow the lawn to grow longer, 1.5 inches versus 0.75 of an inch, where the leaf has more surface area to convert the most sunlight into energy? Great question. That's a good question. So the thing is, Clayton, really you can get away with 1.5 inch. So anything an inch and a half or lower is like the happy zone for Bermuda, right? So, but the thing which you'll find is the lower you mow Bermuda, the tighter it's going to grow, because the grass, I hate to say it has like a memory, or it can think, but if you keep cutting grass all the time, like a grass like Bermuda that can tolerate being cut short, if you cut it at 3/4 of an inch regularly, so 2 to 3 times per week, what's going to happen is the grass is going to kind of, if I'm a piece of grass, I'm going to say, hey, this crazy person keeps cutting me off. I'm going to stop trying to grow up as much to catch sunlight, and I'm going to start, throwing out runners along the ground. I'm going to start doing stolons. I'm going to let those stolons run, and I'm going to expose more leaf to sunlight that way. So the benefit of cutting your grass lower is that you're going to, assuming the grass type like Bermuda, you're dealing with grass type like Bermuda that can tolerate that and it thrives in that way, is that you're going to promote denser turf. The grass is going to get thicker, which has a couple of things. One, it looks really cool. It's nice to walk on, and it's also like natural weed control, right? Because when the grass grows in nice and dense and thick, like weeds have a hard time catching sunlight. They have a hard time competing with Bermuda when it's cut shorter. So while Bermuda will look good at 1.5 inches, it will look better at 3/4 of an inch, and it'll look even better at 1/2 inch. And there's a point of diminishing returns. Like once you get much lower than 1/2 inch, it'll tolerate it, but what will happen is it's going to start losing some of its color. It's not going to look as green or as vibrant once you get below like 1/2 inch height of cut. But that's the whole idea behind it, Clayton. But really, the height of cut that you choose for your lawn really is dictated by how much time you're willing to put into mowing. So it makes no sense to go out and mow your lawn at 3/4 of an inch if you can only mow your lawn once a week, because it's never going to look good. You're going to be scalping it pretty much every time you mow it, because at 3/4 of an inch, even with PGR, you got to get out there twice a week for the lawn to be happy and for it to stay green between mowings at those lower heights of cut. So that's hopefully that helps answer your question. You actually will create the same surface area or even more by mowing the grass short, because it's going to grow more laterally across the grass instead of straight up, if that makes sense. So great question. It's a good one. I've not had that one before, and hopefully that helps with answering your question as to why with Bermuda anyway. And like Zoysia, cutting it short is better for the grass for several reasons. All right, let's see. John Heidi says, I have roots from our 20-year-old tree coming up through the grass. What can I do? Not a whole lot, man. I have seen some people, here's the thing, depending on the grade of your lawn, right? I have seen some people bring in like top dressing mix, like a sand soil mix, and try and build up the area around the tree and try and give the grass like a new soil to grow into. But the problem is just gonna repeat itself all over again. There's not a whole lot that you can do short of, there's not a whole lot that you can do that's not going to damage the tree. Cutting the root out is not going to be good. That's going to be bad for the tree. And you probably don't want to cut the tree down, which would be the way to fix the problem, for sure. If you have an area of your lawn where the roots are growing up, what you're saying is that you still have grass there. So I'm guessing it's not a warm season lawn, because if you get to the point where a tree is throwing roots up, they're punching up out of the surface. In most cases, a tree that size is going to be putting out so much shade that Bermuda is not going to do well. So, there's not, short of cutting the tree down, there's not a whole lot of great advice I can give you. You can try building the area up with some topsoil and top dressing mix to kind of give the grass like some new soil to grow into, but you're just going to end up right back at that spot eventually, because the tree is going to, the roots are going to continue to grow. So I don't have a better answer for you other than that, John. So sorry I don't have a better answer for you, but that's the best I got, unfortunately. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Steven has been saying, thanks for the advice. You're very welcome, sir. No problem at all. D-Dom has a great question on top dressing. He says, hey, Ron, when is the cutoff date to top dress? I am located near your area. So the latest I would top dress a lawn would be like late July, early August. And for that last one, you're going to be going light, right? Now, assuming that temperatures are normal, right, to where we still have heat in August, You can top dress your lawn in late July, early August, and there's still plenty of time, enough sunlight and heat for the grass to still grow through and recover nicely. I think that really you could probably get by with 3 top dresses in a season. So you could do one like the beginning of this month, you could do another one in like mid-June, and you could do another one at the end of July if you're so inclined. The only thing I would say is that if you're going to do that, you go light. Don't go super heavy. Do not bury or submerge the entire lawn in a ton of sand and soil. Go light on the lawn. That would be my only advice I'd say as far as that goes. And yeah, late July, early August is going to be a good time to get that done. Great question. And you said with Bermuda. Yep, no problem. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Omar Kahil says, do you recommend dethatching Bermuda grass? If so, what time of year is best to dethatch? In some areas of our lawn, we have thick thatch and lots of brown top layer of dead grass. So you can do it now. Really, dethatching, depending on who you ask, like some people say you can dethatch, once a year. Some people say do it every month. I think it depends on the state of your lawn. So on my lawn, where I don't really have a huge issue with thatch, when I dethatched it, I didn't pull very much material out. Like for over 12,000 square feet, I only pulled out like 6 bags of material, so which isn't a ton, given the size of my lawn. But a lawn like yours, where you've got a thatch issue, if you have a way to do it, I might do it monthly. I might do it several times to really get, because you're not gonna get all the thatch the first time. I would really do it perhaps monthly for this month, June, July. So probably 3 times this season if you're really trying to get rid of a lot of the thatch and thin things out. And then from there, you can probably go back to once per season. And put it this way, I've only dethatched my lawn once ever since I've been here. And that was this season when Lee at Real Rollers was gracious enough to loan me their swordman to do it. And, I have to say that there was some benefit. I mean, it did thin out the lawn some. Overseas, like if you go over to the UK, like that's all they do. Those guys dethatch their lawns like several times per season. Like it's like a monthly, if not more than monthly thing for them, because it's a way to help just promote health or help the grass to promote growth in the grass, right? So in your case, since you sound like you have a pretty serious situation, a couple times this season is probably in order, Omar. And now is a great time to do it because the grass is actively growing. So now would be a good time to knock out some of that thatch layer. Great question. All right, let's see. Zoysia, let's see. Wise Guy is talking crazy. He says Bermuda is the alpha turf of warm season grass. You're right. Bermuda is, sir. I really appreciate that. I don't know why you had to say it, but yeah, I completely agree with you that Bermuda is the alpha grass of warm season turf. I'm gonna catch grief for that. He's gonna email me later. All right, let's see. Jay King says, he says, okay, mixing 2 different hybrid blends, crazy, illegal, or just frowned upon? Depending on who you ask. Most people will say it's crazy. It should be. So some people you ask, they'll say it's crazy, and they'll say it should be illegal, and it's definitely frowned upon. So here's what I will say, Jay. In my case, right, I have CFA 419. That's the base grass, right? And then I've overseeded it with Arden 15, which is an improved type of Bermuda, improved common Bermuda. It's like it's not. I'm not sure it's actually technically considered a hybrid. I'm not sure. I don't believe it is. And the thing that I would say is, if you're going to do that, which for 99% of people, they shouldn't do it, because the amount of water that it takes to actually pull it off and everything it takes to pull it off is astronomical. And honestly, the existing grass, if it's well taken care of, can look really good. But if you decide you want to do that, the things you want to keep in mind are, you want to make sure that the rate of growth and also visually, like the texture of the grass, looks similar. All right. So TFA 419 and Arden 15 look similar enough, like as far as like if you hold the 2 grasses next to each other, they look similar enough that when they're growing, the lawn doesn't look weird from a texture standpoint. Also, the rate of growth, like as far as like which one grows faster, is also fairly similar. The difference that you'll find between those two is in color, right? And you don't necessarily see it like now, this time of year. When you'll see it is whenever the lawn is coming out of dormancy or when the lawn is going into dormancy. So if you were to overseed your lawn, like a Bermuda lawn with say, Arden 15, and you didn't do a great job, like last year I didn't do a very good job of it because I had pre-emergent on the lawn, what you're going to find is when the lawn goes into dormancy, the TFA 419 is going to fall off relatively sharply once the temperatures fall off or get too cool. The Arden 15 is going to fall off much more gradually. So you're going to have parts of the lawn that are greener, like noticeably greener than other areas. And if you want to see what that looks like, I did this video. I have a playlist that you can actually watch so you can see why for like most people it's not a great idea and why you probably won't like the results that you get unless you do a very good job with the overseeding. Let me see here. So it's at J King. But yeah, so check out that playlist because I actually last fall, I documented like the dormancy rates between them on video, showed you guys exactly what you can expect to see. And if after watching that you still want to do it, the only thing I can tell you is it takes a lot of water to pull it off, and you want to make sure that you use a seed that is comparable or from a visual standpoint, from a texture standpoint, with your existing grass. For most people, they really shouldn't do it. But great question. Great question. Let's see what else we got here. John Hadid says, I really like this live broadcast. This is the first time I've listened to it. It's great. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate that. It's definitely gotten better. It wasn't this great last fall. I was getting my sea legs, but it's definitely getting a little bit better now. As I'm getting more used to answering questions live. So I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you'll come back next week as well. And also watch the content on the channel. Shameless plug, if you're not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the channel. Outside of the live stream, I also put out content. I try to do at least one video a week on various lawn care topics. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Lawn Journeys is saying, evening, welcome, sir. We got Maseo in the house. And then A. Cardinal says, thanks for the answer, Ron. I did see it on the Golf Course Lawn Academy. Put down my Let's Go Moisture Manager Granular today. Great. That's good. Yeah. I mean, the Let's Go Moisture Manager is basically hydrotane. It is hydrotane that I think they just bag it for Let's Go. So it is hydrotane. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Other questions we got. And we got a super chat here from Josh B. Let me go down and knock that out. Josh, thank you so much, sir.
Super chat.
He says, happy Friday, bud. Rumor has it that you're the one hoarding all that gas in GA. I'm not hoarding gas, but one thing I am hoarding, and I can't get the other ones because they're on top there, are these clean Josh Habib edition hats. I mean, look at that, guys. That's clean. That's clean. I mean, Josh sent me a couple of these, three of these guys. And he was saying, oh, you should give these away in the giveaway. And I'm like, no, these are like my Sunday hats. This is going to be like when I'm going out somewhere nice and I want to have like a nice hat. That's what I'm going to be wearing. So thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate the gift. It was really, really awesome. But yeah, as far as gas in Georgia, you would think it's pretty bad. I mean, I think that they're starting to get catch up with the demand, and we should be able to get gas soon. I mean, it's going to be a temporary thing. It's going to be a temporary thing, right? Let's hope. All right. Let's see what other questions we have here. So Maceo Collier says, Ron, what can I use to cover my seeds? Because the topsoil around here in Tennessee is full of weeds. So if you can get some good quality topsoil, that will work. Peat moss is something that people like to use quite a bit, Maceo, for covering seeds as part of a seeding project. So if you're going to seed your lawn, if you can get like some peat moss, that is something that works really, really well. I know a lot of the cool season guys love it because they tend to overseed or seed their lawns a lot more than we do here in the South. But yeah, peat moss is what I would go with. You're not gonna have issues with weeds in that like you would with topsoil, depending on where you get it from. The only thing with peat moss is as light as it is, and like it's almost like powder. You may want to invest in one of those compost spreaders, like the I forget what they're called. They're like a green cylinder that you see them on YouTube all the time. Like you might want to invest in one of those to ensure that you get a good, nice, even coverage when you're putting down the peat moss. You don't need as much of it, but that's what I would use in your case based on what you're dealing with. Great question. All right. Daniel Ferris says, Ron Henry, you're correct. No other weeds in the yard at the moment. Just POA rampant. Great. Thanks for the great vids and answers and content. No problem, sir. Yeah. So the big thing with POA is, in the fall, let's get down to fall pre-emergent. If you want to like scratch that itch and go ahead and weed it, go ahead and do that. That's fine. If you want to spray it out with image, you can do that. You got a video showing you how to mix it, how to apply it. You can do that. Or you can just wait and just make sure you get a pre-emergent down in the fall because that will prevent this problem in the spring. Great question. All right, Sir Budrick has a question. He says, hey, Ron, your channel is blowing up. People sense when someone is passionate and authentic and not just shilling or going through the motions. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, I mean, I still do get some hate, believe it or not, in the comments. People be like, "Oh, why are you like recommending? Why do you have the store? Why are you, you're selling products now?" Mainly, the thing is, there's always abuse from one way or the other because a big part of the golf course lawn store, why I started that, right, is because like last year I had a viewer, and I should have saved their comment, but they said, it's really easy for you to have the lawn you have because you use all these products that are really cool that no one can get their hands on. So I said, you know what? I will fix that. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to make it to where the same stuff I'm using on my lawn, you're going to be able to get and use on your lawn. So then really all that's left is just work, right? It's just mowing and doing and just the process, right? So yeah, I appreciate it, Sir Roderick. I am serious about YouTube. I really want the channel to grow and to do well. So I'm glad that people are responding well to the content. It's not easy. So it takes a lot of work to do it. And I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. So I appreciate you watching. All right, let's see here. So Chris has a question about prodiamine. He says, hey, if you use split apps in early spring for the full yearly rate of prodiamine, what are you supposed to do for the fall app or for things like POA as a pre-emergent? Great question, Chris. So what you would do is you would just switch to a different pre-emergent. So something like Dimension could work pretty well. That's something you could use is as a pre-emergent. Let me see. I think I've got it here. So like this guy. I think I've already linked it in the chat, but I don't think you might have not been in the live stream when I did that. But let's see, at Chris Williams. Yep. So what you would do is you switch to a different pre-emergent in the fall. Chris. So Dimension is a good option. Spectacle Flow is another option. That's a little bit more expensive. But there's other pre-emergents outside of prodiamine that you can use in the fall. And probably one of the more economical ones that you're going to get a really good result with is Dimension. So I just gave you a link there in the chat, and you can. That's what I would go with. Great question. All right. So Wayne Chandler has a question about dethatching. He says, "Hey Ron, I dethatched my lawn last fall, overseeding with Kentucky bluegrass. Have not put down any weed control as yet, but the weeds are everywhere. Should I put down weed control now?" Great question, Wayne. I would wait. So you overseeded in the fall. So yeah, you should be able to spray for weeds now if you want, because if you overseeded in the fall and the grass is growing in nicely now, it should be established to where if you're putting down a herbicide, something like that Spectricide that I talked about, that I did that video on, like that should work well, and it shouldn't hurt the new Kentucky bluegrass that you just put in, because it's been down since, I don't know what, 9 months now, 9 months or so, thereabouts, 8-9 months. Yeah, so you should be fine to go with a post-emergent herbicide. If you want a good concoction, like that mix that George used, the Princess Cut Lawn Care used, of Tenacity and Speed Zone is a good one. Make sure I would go a little bit light, but if you want to see how to use that, check out Princess Cut Lawn Care's channel. The most recent video he did on that has a really good combination that should work well on cool season grass to knock out the weeds. Yeah, and if anything, just go a little bit lighter, right? Because you don't want to smack the grass too hard again. It should be fine because you were 8 months in, but light on herbicide, light on them is always probably better. I mean, don't go too heavy, too crazy on the lawn. Great question. Yeah, because I mean, if it sounds like you have weeds everywhere, you're probably not going to be able to pull it. So yeah, something like Speed Zone would be a good choice at this point. All right. So Marcus is saying, "Hey Ron, Carbon Pro G. I've been using it. I've been finding it hard to spread a spreader good enough to spread this product. What type of spreader do you suggest?" The spreader I suggest is an Earthway. That is what I use. I've had no issues whatsoever putting down Carbon Pro G using that. I've actually even applied it in the rain with it. So it's yeah, that is what I would use, and I think I've got a link to that here somewhere. Maybe not. But yeah, the Earthway spreader is the one I would use. At the 2050, that's a good spreader. It does a really good job. It's good value for money in the sense it's like in that prosumer range. It's like $130, $140 thereabouts, and it has no problem putting down Carbon Pro G whatsoever. Both Carbon Pro G and Essential G flow like a champ out of the Earthway. And I will send that to you here, Marcus, if you feel like supporting the channel. There is my link to the Earthway. And the one you're going to want is the 2050. The 2050, that's the one I would go with. It should cost around $100. It should be for like $139 or so on Amazon, assuming it's not on sale. That's what I would go with. Great question. All right, so Carl Cron says, if you are making your own leveling mix, do you go by the weight of the sand and soil or by cubic feet? I don't know. I've never actually mixed it myself. I guess what you could do is if you're going like 50-50, you could get like a yard, you could get like a yard of sands and a yard of, compost and then just mix them that way. Outside of that, I don't know how precise you'd be able to get mixing it yourself. I'm not sure how well that would be, how easy that would be to be able to do, Carl. I would honestly, if you're trying to do a leveling mix, I would just see if you can find a place locally that can get it delivered to you. Because here's the thing, top dressing in itself is already a lot of work. To also add in mixing compost and sand, before you can even put it down. So if it were me, I would try and get it, delivered already mixed in some capacity. Great question. All right, Travis Bermuda Yard says late to the show, still at work. What's up, Ron and Golf Course Lawn Squad? What's going on, Travis? Thanks for chiming in, sir. I appreciate you. All right, we got some super chats I got to knock out here. Let's scroll down. We got super chat from Wise Guy. I appreciate you, sir.
Super chat received.
He says, I really appreciate your content and knowledge and my love for Bermuda. I know that too. You forgot to put and love for Bermuda on there, but I'll just add it in there for you, Wise Guy. I appreciate it. And also the super sticker. Thank you so much. He says, Pear dancing under rain of confetti. You are amazing. Thank you so much, sir. I really, really do appreciate the support. All right, so let's see what other questions we got here. Wise Guy saying your channel is the hot go-to for DIYers. Yeah, I mean, my channel's pretty good. Alan is really good. Princess Cut's really good. I mean, there's a lot of good channels for DIY community. But yeah, I appreciate it, sir. I really think that you guys are getting some value out of the content. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So Apollo Prime is saying, y'all inspired me to post a vid of my lawn renovation. One solid view on it currently. Well, here's the thing, Apollo Prime. If you got the link to it, post the link in the chat. I'm sure people will go watch it after the live stream or whatever. We can, I'd like to check out your lawn renovation. Yeah, definitely feel free to throw it in the chat. There's no issue with that at all. If you want to. I mean, you did all the work, right? You want people to see it. And let's see what else we got going on here. So Christopher Hunnigan says, hey, Ron, love your vids. Nice work. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that. Thanks so much. And let's see. What other questions we have? Mr. Exhale says, hey, Ron, my yard is sod on top of sandy dirt that turns hard as a rock when it dries. How can I remediate my soil in that case? Okay, so we had a question similar to this earlier, Mr. Exhale. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is let's water the lawn, fairly heavily. Try and get some moisture into the soil, and then the following day, if you can rent a hollow tine aerator or pay a service to come out and do it, that's going to help a lot with like not getting the soil, breaking up the compaction that's causing your soil to become like hard as a rock. So the water, putting some moisture in the lawn is going to allow the aerator to do a little bit better job. But doing that hollow tine aerating is going to do a lot to help with the issue that you're dealing with. If you can also throw a top dress on top of it, that would be even good too. But even just aerating in of itself, you're going to see a pretty big difference in how compacted the soil is if you were after you do a good aeration. So yeah, great question. Sorry you're dealing with that. That's no fun. But yeah, aerate, that's an easy fix, relatively speaking. All right, let's see. John Willis says, what is the best time of year to aerate centipede? So centipede is a little bit more delicate than Bermuda, so I would wait till it's actively growing, John. I wouldn't, whereas with Bermuda, I've done it as early as like March, which is, the grass is still, just barely starting to come out of dormancy. With centipede, because it's a little bit more sensitive grass than Bermuda or Zoysia, I would wait till it's actively growing. So depending on where you are, if you're in Georgia, it's probably not fully greened up yet, but say you're in Florida where you're getting a lot more heat and sunlight, you probably could aerate at this point. So let's say early June, if you're in the Southeast United States, is probably going to be a good time to aerate the centipede. That is what I would do, because you just want to make sure there's enough heat and sunlight for it to grow back pretty quickly. All right, Christopher has a soil test question. He says, hey, Ron, I just got my soil test back today. My sulfur is 125, calcium, magnesium 108, and zinc, copper, and boron are low. What should I do? So I'm going to ask you, sir, to please email me a copy of your soil test. So send it right here, ron@golfcourselawn.com. I promise if you send it to me tonight, I will look at it tonight and get you an answer tonight. But without having the actual results in front of me, it's hard just off the cuff to be able to tell you what to apply to your lawn, because you're not saying anything about NPK which is pretty important as far as like letting you know what fertilizer or what amendments to make. And I don't see anything here about pH. Oh, your pH 702. Yes, your pH is a little bit high, but that's fine. pH will be just fine. But yeah, I mean, as far as also seeing what your macros are at, that's something I'd want to see too. So just send the results, email them here, and I'll be able to take a look at it after the live stream and get you an answer, sir. No problem at all. All right. Let's see what other questions we got. So Rohan has a question about fungicide. He says, can I put down a fungicide, granular azoxystrobin, and then spray my herbicide Speed Zone one after the other? Any issues with that? Yeah, they're completely different. So yeah, you can do that. Let me think about this. So the fungicide, you're going to want to water in. You're going to need to water that in. And the Speed Zone, you're not going to want to water in. So I would probably, let me think about this. I would probably do the fungicide first, water it in, and then do the Speed Zone afterwards. I would do fungicide, water it, and then Speed Zone afterwards. That's the sequence I would do. So fungicide, water, Speed Zone, and yeah, you can do them because they're completely the modes of action are different, and what they're trying to target is completely different. Like one is trying to target a fungus, and another one's trying to target undesirable grass, undesirable plants. So yeah, you can do them, but there's not going to be any problem with that. Just make sure you apply them at the correct rate. Do not go heavy. Do not go super heavy. Because I did have gotten some emails from viewers where they've applied herbicides at like twice or 2 or 3 times recommended rate. Like one viewer was like almost 3 times recommended rate, and I can't stress enough that that's just going to do really bad things to. It's going to kill the weeds, but you're also probably going to kill your lawn too. So the big thing with anything with side in it, fungicide, herbicide, insecticide, really follow the label, because the manufacturer, like they give you a little bit of headway, but you need to follow the label to make sure that you don't damage parts in your lawn. I mean, especially when it comes to herbicides, because herbicides are safe for your grass type at the recommended rate. If you go above the rate, it's going to smoke out everything. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so I got a super chat here from Christopher. Thank you so much, Christopher.
Super chat received.
I really appreciate the support, sir. All right, and let's see what other questions we have here. So Thurston R says, hey Ron, have a few bare spots, cool season grass, applied pre-emergent about 2 weeks ago and fertilized the lawn on Tuesday. Heard you can break the barrier in these spots and apply seed. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, there is some truth to that, Thurston. I mean, here's the thing. Like I have, when I did Arden 15 last year, I did it after applying pre-emergent to the lawn. The lawn had pre-emergent on it, and I still got really, really good germination. So yeah, if you can do something to kind of, I mean, I hate to use the word till, but to disturb the barrier in that area and the surrounding areas of it, if you can I don't know, those old school like those old school tillers that you can kind of rake, it's got like a wheel with spikes on it. Is what it looks like. It's like a wheel with spikes. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like a hand tiller, something like that, to kind of like break up or just kind of open up the turf a little bit, the soil a little bit. Yeah, you can put some seed down and see what happens. Here's the thing: you may have to follow it up with another application. You may have to put it down. Some might grow in. It might grow a little bit thin. You may have to revisit it. But I mean, at this point, what have you really got to lose, right? You got bare spots, and if you put seed down and it grows in, great. If you put seed down and it doesn't grow in, you're really no worse off than you are now, right? So outside of being out a little bit of seed. So yeah, I would do a little bit of tilling, like light tilling with like one of those hand tillers, or like not a power, but like a manual one, just to break up the barrier there. Maybe put down a little bit of fert, and then actually you already did fertilizer. So yeah, just put the seed down and just hope for the best. We'll see what happens, right? You're not going to be, it's not going to hurt anything by trying it, right? It's only upside. Good question. Because here's the thing. In my case, at least when it comes to warm season grass like Bermuda, or like Arden 15 anyway, like pre-emergent prodiamine did not negatively, I mean, it definitely did have a negative effect on germination, but as far as like no germination happening whatsoever, that simply wasn't the case. I got actually fairly good germination, given the fact that it had pre-emergent on the lawn. So yeah, you probably can't pull that off, Thurston. All right. Jay King says soil test came back and NPK are all low and pH is high. I'm looking to lay sod. Should I throw down first? Can I send you my results? Yes and yes. So with your NPK all being low, send me the soil test results. We can see if maybe adding some lime at some point would also actually, let me see. Your pH is high, so no, you don't need lime. We'll see how high it is. I mean, when you say high, are we talking like like high, like mid to like above mid sevens high? Or are we talking like 701, 702? Because that's not really that high. It's high, but it's not terrible. But as far as if you're going to be putting down sod, and you're doing that soon, if you want to put down something like a triple 12, like that's a good starter fertilizer that, given the fact that you said your NPK is low, would be a good choice. So something like this, like this starter fertilizer, it's got again 12% of all the macros as well as a complete micronutrient package. Like this would be a good fert to put down in anticipation of you doing your sod. So I'll put a link in the chat for you for that. Let's see, so at J. Yep, so this guy, you can put that down. And then, yeah, send me your results. My email address right here is ron@golfcourselawn.com. Shoot me an email there. I will take a look at them, and I'll let you know if there's anything else that we need to do, particularly about the NPK goes. And here's the thing, guys. I think I mentioned this last week, but also Soil Lab, the guys that do the soil test that I like, this one, My Soil, this is like my soil test of choice. Those guys put out a really, really good video last week on the results of like adjusting pH in your soil. So if you guys are interested in that, if you to geek out on that kind of thing like I do, definitely go check that out. Like their YouTube channel is called Soil Lab, and I will put a link here to it in the chat. So after you get done with the live stream, or if you want to put it in your to watch later, go check out that video because it shows you some really cool options for raising pH and for lowering pH and what kind of results or changes you can expect to see over the course of only 1 month. So great video. All right, question about lawnmowers. Okay, so you know what? It's not a real mower, but I'm gonna have to clap it up. We're gonna have to talk about it because I don't know where all the mower questions are. I guess you guys all got your real mowers, so we're good to go, right? So Oscar Reyes says, at Ron Henry, would you recommend a Honda HRX mower? And what do you think about battery-powered mowers? Yeah, so if you're going for a rotary mower, the Honda HRX, it's hard to beat that. It's a really good mower. Toro, like the Toro Recycler, is also a good mower. But yeah, the HRX is a pretty baller mower. It's a very nice, as far as rotary mowers go, that's a very good one. Like if I had to have a rotary mower, an HRX is probably what I would go with. That or one of the Toro Recyclers. Those are cool too. What do I think about battery powered mowers? I've never really used one to really be able to comment on it. So the pros and cons in my mind is if you have a smaller lawn, then you don't have to deal with gas, right? They don't have to deal with gas. You don't have to deal with as far as like the maintenance requirements, as far as like changing oil, all those kinds of things are not necessarily really a thing. As far as noise, so if you want to mow early in the morning, or you just in an area where you have neighbors, you want to be considerate of them and not make a bunch of noise. Like those are all pros for electric mowers. The negatives in my mind would be if you have a really big lawn that you can have enough juice to finish the mow. And then also battery replacement costs, right? So whenever the batteries begin to lose their charge and you have to replace them, like what is that going to cost? So that's those would be my considerations about it. But here's the thing: electric is eventually going to be the way of the future, right? Like the electric reel mowers are becoming more of a thing. Electric cars are becoming more of a thing. So it is going to be eventually. That's where things are going to go. It's just, I don't know that at this point, if you are, unless like all those reasons that I gave are really important to you, like, low noise, no gas, lower maintenance, if those things are like enough to swing you towards going to an electric mower, then, I would stick with gas. Another thing with electric mowers is some of the consumer grade ones, they tend to be pretty light. So I'm not a huge fan of the quality of cut that you get with some of them, right? So the one thing with an electric or the gas rotary mower, like something like the HRX or even like the Toro Recycler, is that it's got some weight to it, right? So the battery powered ones, I mean, like a good example, like the Egos, like they're nice mowers. They're light and easy to move around, but having a little bit of weight in the mower is also a good thing for getting a more even cut. So that's another consideration as far as quality of cut. So it just depends on what you're really after. If you're all electric already, then yeah, get an electric mower. But if you're mainly all gas and you're still kind of on the fence, there might not be it's not much of a compelling reason to go electric, right? Because you're not already like bought into that ecosystem as yet. Good question though. All right, let's see here. Rohan Mystery says a lot of herbicide labels say wait 2 days after cutting to apply, and then wait 2 days before cutting again. That's 4 to 5 days between cuts. Important to adhere to these guidelines. Your experience? Yeah, so it's important because here's why. You want there to be enough leaf, and this is really talking about post-emergent herbicides, like the Spectricide, like that's what the label says as far as what they recommend. The reason for that is you want there to be enough leaf for the herbicide to adhere to uptake. So that's where that whole like waiting 2 days till after mowing, so the grass and the weeds have a little time to grow back. Not so much the grass, really more the weeds have a chance to grow back. Is why they recommend doing that. And then waiting 2 days until after, or like after the herbicide application is for the same reason, right? So if you apply the herbicide to the leaf, even though most of the uptake happens actually pretty quickly, but say you were to apply herbicide in the morning and then that afternoon you were to go mow your lawn, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You're kind of working against yourself in that you're not allowing a lot of time for the grass or for the weed rather to draw in that herbicide and ultimately kill it, right? So that's what they're saying. Give it 2 days before to ensure there's enough leaf, and then 2 days after to ensure that there's enough time for the herbicide for uptake by the grass. If you're going to break one of those rules, I would break the rule of the before rule. So if you, in other words, I would definitely give it more time after applying the herbicide before mowing. Like that one I think is more important than the latter. So if you're going to break one of the rules, the waiting 2 days before mowing, waiting 2 days prior to application is probably less critical than the waiting 2 days after application. But really, best case is just to do both. Just take 4 days and I get rid of it. Because here's the thing: if the weeds in your lawn, Rohin, are bad enough that you're spraying a herbicide on it, like you're really serious about getting rid of the weeds, like that's what your big thing is. Like 4 days of not mowing is really not that big a deal, right? Because you've already made the decision, I'm going to blanket the entire lawn with herbicide. So why not just follow the label to the letter so that you get the best possible result? That's kind of my take. If you're kind of like with overseeding, right? If you want to seed the lawn, then you have to say, I'm not going to apply pre-emergent, so I'm going to get some weeds. And that's just kind of something you have to give up because you want this other thing, right? So if you don't want weeds in the lawn, cutting back your mowing frequency a little bit is probably going to be is a smart thing for the reasons that I just explained. Good question. All right, Ben Rich in the house. Ben Rich, man, buddy from way back when, man. Ben and I used to work together way back in the day. He says, question, I bought a 25-inch McLean and it came with a backlap kit. The abrasive powder is in a bag. What should I mix this with? That's a great question, Ben. I've never actually backlapped a mower, much less a McLean, so I can't tell you. I don't know. I'm not sure what they recommend that you mix it with. I'm not sure you have to mix it with water or what. I'll tell you who will know though. If you can, Ben, give the guys at Real Rollers a call. Give like Lee, Andrew, or Eric, one of those guys a call. Just call up Real Rollers, even though you probably didn't buy it from them. But if you just call them up and say, hey, I got this powder that I'm using to backlack my McLean, give them a quick ring and they'll probably help you out. Because those guys, they definitely know how to do that. And they'll be able to point you in the right direction. It's not something I've ever really done with my mowers. I just tend to send them in for sharpening when they stop cutting paper. But yeah, hopefully that helps. And good job, man. I'm glad to hear. Always good to hear from you. And you got a real mower, man. You're getting serious. Nice stuff. Very cool. All right. Let's see what else we got here. AFOL Garage says, I love it. I'm in data protection and focus on ransomware, lawn, IT, and cars. We're from the same cloth. We are, man. It is. I always say it's ransomware is like one of the worst things. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, man. But bad people doing bad things, I guess, keeps us employed, right? So. But yeah, always nice to reach out and make acquaintances with a fellow lawn care geek and a brother in technology, a brother in binary, right? All right, so let's see what else we have going on here. Steven Velasquez says, everyone wants to know, when can we expect the collaboration with BYD? I need to, I'm sure if I need to reach out to BYD or if BYD needs to reach out to me. I wonder if he wants to come on the live stream. I gotta ask him if he wants to just come on the live stream. We can just chop it up on the live stream. He's gonna tell me why real mowing is silly, and I'll tell him, yeah, you're right, but it still looks cool anyway. I'm sure, but yeah, it'd be awesome to have BYD on. Actually, it's a good point. I need to reach out to him and see if he just wants to come on the live stream. Maybe next week. I'll see if he's got time to come hang out, even if it's just for a little time. Because I know sometimes I go on kind of long on these. So I'm going to try and start getting more people to come in as guests and maybe just have them come in for like a segment, like, maybe an hour or for 45 minutes just to kind of answer questions and hang out and, chat and stuff. And then I can go back to questions because not everybody wants to be on a live stream for like hours and hours on end. But yeah, it's a fair point, Steven. BYD and I have been saying we're going to make it happen and it just hasn't happened as yet. So I need to reach out to him and see how we can make that work out. If he has Friday nights free, he's always welcome to come on the live stream. I'd love to have him on. All right. So Daryl Tunstall says, hey, let everyone know how great the golf course I think something with Lawn Academy. Lawn Academy is you put a lot of work and time into it, putting it together. We appreciate the course. Thanks so much. So what Daryl's talking about is the Golf Course Lawn Academy. It's a course that I put together, built over the fall that really talks about my process of how I recommend you go about creating a golf course lawn. So a lot of what's so not a lot of, but some of what's in there is what you'll see in the YouTube content, but a lot of the really gory detail stuff around like micronutrients and soil pH and fertilizer application and carbon soil amendments and just all the entire process that I follow to create my lawn that you guys see. Like all of that is in the course. It's $97 one time, and as I add more content to it, it's one time and you own it for life. So it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to create, and the people that have been in it have had a lot of really good, a lot of great feedback over it. In addition, you also gain access to the private Facebook group where it's a bunch of other super lawn crazy nerds that are in there, throwing up questions and talking about what's going on in their lawns. And I'll do some BTS stuff, like some things that I'll do. I'll film on the lawn or little tips or things that I've come across. Like I share that stuff with the private Facebook group that YouTube doesn't necessarily get to see, mainly because I don't want to have to edit it, and it's stuff that's really useful to someone that's really hardcore and really going hard on really trying to maximize their lawn. But for a person that's really just, I want green grass, but isn't really trying to go super deep, they wouldn't find as much value in it. So that's why I created the course, to put those really more propeller head topics in a place for people that really want that. So if you were interested, golfcourselawn.com, you can, it is live. And again, I'm going to be adding more content to it. The top dressing material that I've recently done, I'm going to be recutting that and using that in the course as well too. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that people that have been that are in it have been enjoying it. It's always nervous when you create your baby and you send it off into the world. You wonder what the results are going to be, and so far it's been really good. So I appreciate you guys. All right, Matt G has a question about mowing. He says, "Hey Ron, do you normally raise your height of cut during the season? If you do, then can you explain your progression from scalp to dormancy? Thanks." So Matt, I do not do that. So I'm probably in the minority on this, but the last season, so here, I'll explain what happened last season. Last season, when I top dressed, I was cutting at half inch. I started out at half inch. And then after I top dressed, I went up to 3/4 of an inch. And because I was lazy and I didn't want to have to take the mower in for sharpening, I just left it there and I cut the lawn at 3/4 of an inch throughout the rest of the season. This year, what I did is I started out at just under half an inch. So I scalped the lawn. I cut it. I wanted to maintain the lawn at half an inch. So I scalped it at probably 3/10. I dropped the true cut down really low, scalped the lawn. And then when it grew back into about half an inch or to that area, that's where I've been maintaining it. When I top dressed the lawn 2 weeks ago, almost at this point, I did raise the height of cut up just slightly, like 2/10, just for the first couple of mows to prevent getting sand into the reel and bed enough. I didn't want to add unnecessary wear. But once I got through a couple of mows and the lawn was settling in nice, I wasn't seeing sand all over the place, I dropped it right back down to that same height of cut. So the 0.495, that's what I'm maintaining. That's the bench height that I'm maintaining on that I got my mower set up for. So it's really probably cutting around, I don't know, 45, 0.45 inches, just under half an inch, something like that. And yeah, I'm just going to maintain that throughout the entire season. Like last year, a good example, when my lawn was no higher than 3/4 of an inch at any point all throughout the winter, all throughout last fall. I never let it grow in. So even during winter months, once a month I'd get out there and I would just mow it just to kind of knock the high points off. But I don't really mow or raise my height of cut up as the season progresses, mainly because I mow enough, right? So the theory behind that, right, of raising your height of cut over time, like stepping it up, is as temps get hotter with warm season grass and days get longer, the grass is going to begin growing more aggressively. And most people don't have or don't want to get out there and mow their lawns several times a week. So the way to maintain your lawn green between mowings is two ways. There's only two ways to do that. Like 3 ways really, but we'll cover the first two. The first way is you can mow your lawn often enough. So meaning that mow your lawn 2 to 3 times a week so that you're only cutting off just a little bit of that top growth so that whatever grows back and what's left is green, right? That's one way, number one, thing one. The second way is if you don't have the time to mow or don't have the inclination to mow, is to simply raise the height of cut a little bit, because remember with that 1/3 rule, the rule of 1/3, if we raise the height of cut up so slightly, what represents 1/3 of the total height of cut is longer, meaning you can go longer between mowing intervals and still, in theory, have a green lawn after you're done mowing. So that's why people tend to raise the height of cut up over the season as temps get warmer. What I do is I just maintain the same height of cut, and I use plant growth regulator to help suppress that top growth as temps get hotter, right? So like my lawn has gotten PGR almost 2 weeks ago, as of Sunday. Sunday will be 2 weeks since I put PGR on my lawn, and it's going to get it every single month until probably September, October, right? So that's partly why I'm able to get away with maintaining the same height of cut, and for the most part, not really having to change my mowing frequency. Really, my lawn at the current height of cut really needs to be mowed 3 times a week minimum to maintain that just under half an inch. And PGR is going to allow me to get away with that. So hopefully that helps answer your question as far as the progression as to why people tend to raise the height of cut. It's more about keeping the grass nice and green between mowings as the grass is growing faster. But you don't necessarily have to do it. You're not going to hurt the grass by maintaining it at the same height throughout the season. It's just more work, if that helps. So great question. I haven't gotten that one before. It's a good question, Matt. All right. Joseph has a question. Joseph Ganti says, "Hey Ron, thanks for the great content as always." You're welcome, sir. Thank you for watching. He says, "So I got my soil test results back and I'm low in PK, in phosphorus and potassium, and all my micros except for iron, which is high. I put down a triple 10 at 6 pounds per thousand 2 weeks ago." Okay. All right. Yep. Sounds good. So, if you don't mind, Joseph, send me your soil test results. Send them here, Ron at Golf Course Lawn. I'd appreciate it. Send them there to me. I can take a look at them, and we can see what else we got going on. I like to see how high your nitrogen is, because your lawn is going to consume that nitrogen. That triple 10 is probably okay. That's probably going to work well. Depending on how low the phosphorus is, we might want to use something different. So that's why I'd like to see the soil test results. You might want to use something like an 18-24-12. That's a pretty common fertilizer to use if the P is really low. So yeah, send me those results. Let me take a look at them, and then we can figure out a plan of action. You didn't do anything wrong with the triple 10. I just don't know if they're that much out of whack that a triple 10 is going to be enough to correct the phosphorus and potassium levels. So yeah, if you send me that results, I'll look at it and I'll get you an answer. Great question. And you had a follow-up question here. You said, "Is it too early to start towards a 2504 fertilizer?" So here's the thing: it's all about application rate, right? So you did that triple 10. So it's 6 pounds. What is that? It's 0.6, right? 0.6 pounds of nitrogen. So it all depends on application rate. So if the triple 10 was enough to bring your phosphorus levels up, I kind of doubt it. But if it was enough to do that, and you want to switch to like a 2504, you absolutely can do that. But you have to be careful at the rate that you're applying it at, right? So it all comes down to really application rate. So, a 2504 at a low rate can be just as much nitrogen as a triple 10 at a higher rate, right? So it just depends on the fertilizer you're applying, and also the type of fertilizer, whether it's really a slow release fertilizer or it's got some quick release nitrogen in it. Like, those are some things you want to consider too. But the short answer is, if you just did the triple 10, I would not follow that up with a 2504 now. If your next fertilizer application, you want to go to that because you feel like you've put enough phosphorus in the lawn, that could work. That might be all right, but just make sure you're applying it at the correct rate, right? You don't want to go too heavy. So again, send me an email with your soil test results, and I'll send you back my thoughts about what I would recommend, what I would do on your lawn. Great question. All right. Wise guy says, "Ron, your brand is blowing up. Also, Bermuda and Zoysia can agree to disagree." You're right. I mean, here's the thing: we're both warm season grass, right? So we're united in that, right? We Bermuda and Zoysia still have to stand together against the cool season contingent, right? So as long as you tell me you're not putting fescue in your lawn, we can still get along, right? But you still got Zoysia, so we're good to go. And I'm just giving, guys, anyone with cool season that are cool season viewers, I'm just joking. Please do not send me hate or comments saying that I'm hating on cool season grass. Actually, I'm a little bit jealous of cool season grass, because it's like rye, or like watching rye stripe. It's insane, man. Stripe action was invented by ryegrass. All right, let's see what else we got here. So Fernie C says that, "Hey Ron Henry, I'm planning on sodding my backyard with Tiff Tuff soon. Any suggestions on the proper time frame of when it'll be permissible to apply PGR? planning on joining the Real Mow Alliance at the 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch height of cut. So wait for the lawn to grow in. Wait for the sod to be rooted and growing nicely. You're not gonna have to worry about PGR. Like let's just say if you did sod this weekend, right? It's probably going to take 4 weeks or so for the sod to root in nicely and begin growing, maybe 6 weeks. So really, you're looking at doing PGR maybe in July at best, right? That's when you'd be looking at that. And really, there's nothing that's going to prevent you from mowing the lawn lower at this time. So while you're waiting to do PGR, so out of those two, since you're just getting into it, I got to tell you, like 3/4 of an inch, if you want like Ron Henry's opinion, 3/4 of an inch is like the Goldilocks zone for height of cut for real mowing to not mess up your life. Like once you get into like the 1/2 inch range, it's like it takes more to maintain the grass at that height and have it still look good. So 3/4 of an inch is a good height. It looks really good. But yeah, 1/2 inch does look better. But yeah, it just takes a lot more work. All right, and congrats on the new sod, sir. All right, and John says, thank you very much for the great advice. You're very, very welcome, sir. Glad it was useful. We got Brett's Grasscapades in the house. What's going on, sir? Got to clap it up. This is the best weekly live stream going on right now. Thanks so much, Brett. I really appreciate it, sir. Thank you for taking some time to hang out in the live stream, and I love your avatar, man. Murica. Love it. All right, let's see what else we got going around here. So EB says, Carbon Pro G finding it is like gold around here in Georgia, all around Metro ATL. Will the Carbon Pro L do the same trick? No, not really, because they're completely different. They're completely different products. The only thing that Carbon Pro L and Carbon Pro G really have in common is the name Carbon Pro in the name, right? So as far as like the products, they're made by different manufacturers, and the makeup and how they work is completely different. So if you have trouble finding Carbon Pro L, or Carbon Pro G rather, a good substitute that I like and that I'm actually using on my lawn is Essential G. And that you can get, that actually is in stock and shipping now at the Golf Course Lawn Store. So this would be a great option in place of Carbon Pro G. EB, this is a good product. Again, this is what I'm using on my lawn. It's made by the same people. So Essential G and Carbon Pro G are both made by Miramichi Green. Carbon Pro G is a Miramichi Green product that they make for Lesco. Site 1, and the Essential G is something they make for everybody, so anyone can buy it. And they are both excellent products. If you can't find Carbon Pro G, I would go with Essential G, and it's still on sale until Monday. On Monday, the price of it goes back up. So if you're thinking about getting it, I would order before Monday morning, because that's when I have to change the price on it to put it back. Miramichi Green is telling me I can't keep it at that price any longer. I tried, guys. So that's where we are. Maybe the sale will come back again at some point, but right now, I know Monday the price is going to go back up to what it was before. And you can get that on the Golf Course Lawn Store, EB, and it's a great substitute for Carbon Pro G. All right, let's see what else we have here. You're very welcome, Marcus. And Kartik Kamath says, hey, Ron, what are your thoughts on robotic mowers? Do you believe we would see a robotic reel mower? Would you buy one? Thank you for doing this. Appreciate your vids. Okay. Here's the thing. I enjoy mowing my lawn, so I'm probably not someone that's a good person to ask about robotic reel mowers or robotic mowers, because like those are really designed for people that don't want to mow their grass, or if you have a big property or you have like a big field or something, you just want to add some automation for keeping the grass relatively short. That is where something like that makes a lot of sense, right? But I mean, for someone like me who actually enjoys mowing my lawn, a robotic mower would not be something that I'm really interested in, really. And even if it were a real mower, I mean, it could do a good job, but think about it. There's more that goes into it than just running all over the lawn, right? So a lot of those robotic mowers, I don't know how well they do as far as like stripes, like, because with a real mower, like on my lawn, I like my lawn stripes. So I don't know how well a robot's going to do with laying down that stripe action. I don't know if you could program them to vary the mowing pattern. So like, does it only mow like this way one time? Does it mow this way another time? Will it mow diagonally? So there's a lot of considerations when it comes to doing a robotic reel mower if you're trying to replicate the same look that I get with my lawn by doing it myself. So it's not, I don't think that robotic mowers are at that point yet. And I don't think it's really a design goal. That's really just more around, we're just going to create a mower so people can just charge it up, set it out in the lawn, and it mows the grass, and you're done, right? It's not so much about like the stylistic or the artistic aspect of mowing that you get from, doing it yourself manually. So for me, at this point, no, I'm not really interested in a robotic reel mower. Not at this point. All right. Matt G says, how do you deal with worm castings that are making a mess of my lawn? So it depends on what's causing it, Matt. I would put down a Celiprin. I don't really have an issue with that in my lawn. I put down a good insecticide to help knock that out. A Celiprin is a really, really, really good insecticide. Literally, you can apply it once per season, and it's going to do a lot for preventing grubs and other insects that tend to burrow and cause the kind of problems you're talking about in your lawn. And I will give you a link to that. It's a great product. I put it down early May on my lawn. I actually did a video on it. If you're interested in seeing why it's awesome sauce, I'll put both of those in the chat for you. But if you're thinking about a Celiprin, this is what I would use. Let's see, at Matt G. This guy here. That's where you can get it. And then if you just search my channel, you'll see a video that I did on a Celiprin, which I think was fairly well received. It talks about grub worms and some of the other things that it treats, and I'll put that in the chat for you as well. So there you go. So you got the product and you got the video that tells you all about the product, how to use it, how to apply it, why it is awesome. All right, next question that we got here. Go Hard says, hey Ron, what's going on, sir? Hey, hello to you. And we have a friend from Germany. What's going on, man? It says hi. It says you like her. It says welcome. It's hi from Germany. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming to hang out. It's got to be really late in Germany right now because it's 9 here. So I imagine probably after midnight in Germany. But thank you so much. I really appreciate hearing from you. I always like hearing from people overseas. So it's really cool to have a viewer in the EU. I really appreciate that, sir. Thanks for watching the content. All right. So Calvin Winston has a question here. He says, Ron, love the content. Keep it coming. My Bermuda is thin in some areas. Should I wait to top dress until it thickens up or use more organic mix like a 50-50? So yes and no. I mean, if you want the lawn to grow back faster, it's like the best time. Let's in Georgia. The best time in Georgia to top dress your lawn, if your primary goal is for the lawn to grow back quickly and recover quickly, is like June, early July. That's the best time. It's going to be plenty hot. Grass is going to be growing aggressively. You put the top dressing down, a week or two later, it's going to be looking awesome, right? Doing it early, there's really no negative to doing that other than it's going to take the lawn longer to grow in. It's going to take it longer to thicken up. And if you're doing something like that, like a 50-50 mix, the nice thing about doing that, Calvin, is that you're adding some organic materials. You're adding almost like some natural fertilizer to the lawn, which is also going to help with green up. It's also going to help the lawn just become more healthy. So, that's a positive for doing that too. So if your main criteria, your main reasoning behind doing the leveling is that you don't want the lawn to be recover as soon as possible, as soon as you absolutely can, as fast as possible, then doing it now is fine. There's no issue with that. I mean, if you look at like Alex's lawn is fairly green, like it's popping now. Alex's lawn is looking really good right now, like super hot. But even when we top dress it, there are a few spots that were a little bit thin. I'm not really thin, but we're not completely out of dormancy. So his lawn was not completely out of dormancy when we top dressed it, and it still came out really good. So yeah, it just depends on you. How long are you willing to tolerate your lawn having that sandy look to it? If you don't really care, you can do it now. If you want to wait for it to grow in faster, wait till like June. You're not going to hurt Bermuda either way. My only advice to you would be, regardless of when you do it, to go a little bit thinner. That's going to help the lawn recover faster. That's the only thing I would say. All right. Go Hard says, hey, Ron, I'm late. I just cut my yard. It's awesome, sir. Thank you so much for letting me know that. I always like that. You guys, it's funny. I always wonder, like, when people say, how do I listen to your live stream while I cut my lawn. I'm like, how on earth do they do that? A viewer sent me an email. He has like his man cave is his garage, right? Which I guess is a pretty good spot for a man cave. He has like a big screen in there, and he sent me a picture of like me on a big screen, with this show on the big screen on like live, and like the mower out. So I get it. So maybe he just has speakers and he has it turned up really loud, and he's out mowing his lawn while the live stream's going on. So I appreciate that you just got your lawn cut. Good job. Great work. And I appreciate the support. All right, so let's see what other questions we got here. Craig Dill says, hey, Ron, I'm late to the show. Late, but you're here. No worries. He says, just got back from picking up my C27 with grooved roller from Rerollers. Finally, now I get to do the applause. You got to clap it up. We finally got a new mower in the live stream. I mean, it took us over 2 hours, but we got one. I was a little worried. All right, so you got the grooved roller. So you went all out. You got the good setup. He says, will it upset the family neighbors if I fire it up at midnight? Yeah, probably. I mean, just wait till the morning, because you just got it. Wait till the morning and then put it out the lawn then. And here's the thing: your first time cutting with it, I mean, you can wait for the grass to be dry. I don't know how tall your lawn is. But if you want to really get the stripes like perfect, again, depending on how tall your lawn currently is, like mowing early in the morning with a little bit of dew is a great way to make sure your lines are going to be dead straight. That's something to consider. You just got to rinse the mower off when you're done. It's not going to hurt anything. But yeah, congratulations on the C27. It's a great mower. It's a nice bit of kit. I mean, that's what Alex rolls with. And that thing's bulletproof, man. Just take care of it, and it's going to be probably be the last mower you buy. It's a really, really good mower. And you already got it decked out. You got the grooved roller with it. So I got nothing for you, man. Just enjoy it. Just get the mower out there and cut and enjoy the stripe action that's coming your way. Congratulations. All right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, Devin Rockney says, did you ever follow up about this issue about using PGR and hydrotan canceling each other out? Great question. Yeah. So what I think the question, it was more around not necessarily, PGR and hydrotan. It was more around, PGR and C extra. So, the idea was this was kind of a misunderstanding. I actually did talk to Jim from a college all about this. And so here's the thing: for depending on the PGR that you use, something like T-Nex, which being a Class A growth regulator, like the way it works is it interrupts or suppresses gibberellic acid synthesis. And gibberellic acid, you can think of it as almost like a growth hormone that the grass uses to grow stem. So it makes the grass grow tall, right? And so what PGR is trying to do is trying to reduce that or prevent the grass from being able to create that particular acid, right? If you're certain types of seaweed, of certain types of kelp, some products help promote gibberellic acid, like the production of that. So if you put down certain kelp products and then you mix that with T-Nex, on some level you could be working against yourself. I've never tested it to know how bad it can or can't be. But I can tell you, for example, that I use the NutriKelp, which has 24% kelp in it, and I have not seen any issues with regulation in my lawn doing that. So, I can say that the Miramichi Green, the kelp was in the Miramichi Green product, I haven't had any issues from that standpoint. But I think that's what Jim was saying from the standpoint of if you go really, really heavy on kelp, that you can have an issue where you have one product trying to prevent gibberellic acid creation and another one trying to promote it. So you essentially end up working against yourself. Hydrotan has no fight in the game whatsoever. Hydrotan has nothing to do with that discussion. It's really around seaweed or kelp products and PGRs if the PGR is one like T-Nex that suppresses gibberellic acid. So that's what that's about. Hopefully that helps, Dev Rockney. I appreciate you. Let's see who we got in the chat. Okay, he's out. Here's the thing. I was worried, LG.
Super chat received.
He says, protective eyewear, do it now. Okay, LG, it's funny. I actually got this out of the garage. I have it here, right here for you. I went and made sure I got it all cleaned up and everything. And I can't recreate the look exactly like I do in that one video, but we'll try our best. I'm gonna go side profile for you. And, I'm looking at the backpack spray. I'm about to spray, whatever it is, probably my carbon kit, some liquid fertilizer. And the last step is the eye pro's got to come on. And I got to look kind of serious. You can't look like, you can't be smiling. You can't like this. No good. You got to be serious. You got to look at the backpack spray and be like, we're about to go to war. You and me, about to do it. Okay. So there you go. So you got your fun and games. I got the glasses here for you because I didn't have them last week. And I appreciate the super chat, sir. Thank you so much, LG. And I'm glad that you're in the live stream. I was a little bit worried. Normally you're in a little earlier, man. What's going on? But I'm glad that you are here. Christopher, also thank you for the super sticker, sir. I appreciate it.
Received.
I'm not sure if I missed that or not, but just in case, you got two. And let's see. So where did I leave off? What's the other questions we have here in the live stream? So that question about around gibberellic acid, around PGR and kelp products was a good one. I think I addressed that last week, but no problem with addressing it again. So that was the question that Dev Rockney asked. All right, Lawn to Learn. So that's the question. He says, hey, Ron, elbow cough. What are the monthly expenses on your current lawn endeavors? Could you do anything to save money? Let's see. I don't actually know what it costs every month. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, I put down the Essential G, like there's costs associated with that. So if you're going to recreate what I did, on your lawn, you'd be putting out Essential G every month, and you'd be putting out the carbon kit every month. So if we take $100 for the carbon kit and divide that across 3 months, that's going to be, $33 a month? So, and then the cost of essential G. So let's say between and then the Humic Max. So I don't know, 100 and let's go high. Let's say $150 a month in the growing season. I mean, that's probably, and that's probably a little bit high, but let's just say that's what it would cost you. I mean, if you did everything I'm doing, which is like Humic Max, the Turfplex, like this is the liquid fert of choice. This is what I'm using here. This is my liquid fert. So if you're using that and you're doing the carbon kit and you are doing the Humic Max, and you are putting down essential G, doing all that stuff, and you're mowing, yeah, $150 a month is probably about right. It's probably a good estimate. And mind you, that's during the growing season, because a lot of those things don't apply. Like they don't apply before March, and they don't apply after October. So kind of like, I think I answered this question last week. All in, far less than $1,000. Again, assuming I don't bounce my mower off of concrete, like assuming I don't do like damage to any equipment. Yeah, well under 1,000. Probably more in the $600-700 range if I had to guess. And that's for someone with a relatively big lawn, right? People with smaller lawns, it's gonna cost you less. So, great question. As far as things I could do to save money. I'm already doing some of it, believe it or not. Like I apply a lot of stuff on my lawn, but the stuff that I apply goes a really long way. Like I don't have to run as much fertilizer in my lawn as some people do. Like I put it down at a relatively light rate. So a bag of Humic Max, like one bag, can do my entire lawn. Whereas if I were doing like Milo, like I'd be spending a lot more money on fertilizer, believe it or not. Like a Humic Max, even at like $69 for a bag of it, one bag easily does my entire lawn. If I do Milorganite, like a Milorganite application at the current prices, cost me something like $110 to apply on my lawn. So it's expensive. It's a lot more expensive than using Humic Max. So as far as how I'm saving money, I'm using the Humic Max fertilizer, which is a better product than Milorganite. And it's a better fit for what I'm doing in my lawn as far as my spoon feeding program. So yeah, there's not a whole lot else I could do outside of, I don't know, mowing less, and that's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what else. That's a good question. I'm not sure what else I could do. I could not do Arden 15 seeding projects. Like that would save some money. I would not have a big water bill if I didn't do that. But like outside of those like one-off type things, not really. There's not a whole lot I would really change to do differently. Because here's the thing you have to keep in mind, lawn to learn. Like what we are doing with our lawn, what I'm doing with my lawn, what Alex is doing with his lawn, and what some of the guys that you also see on YouTube do with creating golf course lawns is not really normal, right? It's not a normal thing in a sense that, or it's not normal from the standpoint of like what most people that cut their grass are trying to achieve. You're getting into like the practices that you see being done on professional turf, right? So with that comes with the expenses of working on professional turf. So like, you're going to be doing fungicide applications, fertilizing more regularly, spoon feeding more, liquid fertilizer applications more regularly. There's just more like plant growth regulator. There's just more that goes into it than just mowing your lawn once every 2 weeks. So it's kind of like you got to pay to play, because what you're doing is not something that is, it's not something that you can't compare what I spend on my lawn compared to what a typical homeowner spends on their lawn, because their grass doesn't look like my grass. So it's a completely different mindset. And there are people that spend a lot more money than I do, believe it or not. So yeah, hopefully that helps. All right. Let's see. Brett Gascapade says garden weasel is what it's called. Oh yeah, that's what he's talking about. The rake thingy, a garden weasel. There you go. The manual, the manual tiller type machine. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Brett is chiming in. He feels like that battery mowers are the way of the future. I do believe that. I do agree with you, Brett. It's not quite as good as traditional mowers, but dang close now. And I think so. I think the big thing is once I can work out the cost, and the battery life, and then the battery replacement costs isn't going to be ridiculous. I think that they are. It's definitely a thing. Like a good example, like if to find like my mower, like a battery powered Toro, a battery powered Greensmaster, they're not cheap. They're not inexpensive. And I'd be afraid to kind of buy a used one, because then I'm looking at perhaps a big battery replacement cost, not too far down the road. So but I agree with you, Brett. Eventually, anything that runs on gasoline, or at least in the consumer market, is going to get banned. So, battery mowers eventually are going to become a thing. I agree with you. All right, Super TA with the man with the Allet Liberty has one of the best looking lawns on Instagram. Awesome looking lawn. He says, "Hey, Ron, just stopping by to say hi. Just finished getting a third mow in for the week. Super TA 3 times a week. Some people might say you're maybe a little bit obsessed. I don't judge you. I'm just saying some people might find issue with that." This week with the Allet Liberty 43. cutting at 3/4 of an inch. Your lawn looks awesome, man. Looks incredible. Like the pictures you post on Instagram look really, really good. So whatever you're doing, keep at it. Lawn looks really good. That Liberty, I've not tried out an outlet yet. I need to try and get my hands on one. So I want to see how well they cut, see how it would do on my lawn. I got to find someone around here that has one that will let me borrow one, that let me come by their lawn and cut with it on their lawn just to see how it does. Because your lawn looks incredible with it, I have to admit. You and Sunny, they get really good results with it. All right. So Clayton says the Honda HRX 217 is awesome. It'll cut down to 3/4 of an inch. That's awesome. And had mine for 6 years. Very reliable. So there you go. Yep. And if you can cut that low, Bermuda is going to love it being cut at that height. If you have the time to be able to do that. JT saying he wouldn't recommend the Ego. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The mower I was not super impressed with, but I think their hand power products are actually pretty good. I think that their blowers are really good. Their other trimmers stuff are pretty good. The mower works well too. The only thing I say about it is it's a little bit light for my taste, and which again, remember, it's a different mindset because for some people, a lighter mower is good because they can literally take it and hang it up on the wall in the garage. They can put it out of the way easily. But for me, I want something with a little bit more weight so I get a better cut. So it's, I think the design behind the Ego is not necessarily one that people that are like super hardcore lawn care nuts would really like appreciate, and we're not really probably the people that they were going after. We weren't their target audience, I don't think. So you can't really hate on the mower. I just don't think it's the right type for someone like me or someone that's trying to mow their lawn a lot of times. All right, so we have Mr. Colson from Texas chiming in. R. Colson 74 says, "Hey Ron, no questions here. Just enjoying the discussion with a nice brewski in my hand. Cheers, cheers to you, sir. On that, I will have a sip of my lemonade. Publix lemonade today. Good stuff. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. Matt saying, yeah, I have a battery-powered mower, and Ron is right. I would also add that suction can be fairly weak, so things stick to the grass. So there's that too. Yeah, something else to consider. And guys, while I take another sip of my mower, if you're just joining the live stream, first of all, welcome. And if you wouldn't mind touching that like button ever so gently, free to you guys. Think about it. How many things can you do in life that adds value to someone else that's completely free? Hitting the like button is one of those things. So you guys can do that right now. I'll take another sip, and I really appreciate it. All right. So next question we have here, Pedge Junk says, how long would it take for it to grow back after installing subsurface drip irrigation? I'm not sure, Pedge Junk. I guess what you're talking about is grass. I can tell you that if you're trying to see how long the grass can recover from irrigation being installed, it can be really a relatively short period of time, a couple of weeks, really. If you want, check out Alex's lawn. They did the vibratory trenching on his lawn, and I will find, like in this series here, you can find it here. So I'll go, let's see, at Pedge Junk right there. If you look at that, I think it's video 6. I want to say video 6 in that series. It's a 15-part series, but in there's a series on irrigation. Now, if you do that type of irrigation installation, it's going to recover in a week or two. Like it doesn't do much damage to the lawn. If you're talking about trenching it, that's probably going to be a bit more. It's going to take a little bit longer. So it depends on how long you're, or what method you're using for installing the irrigation. It could be a couple of weeks or it could be a month. So it just depends. Great question. But take a look at that series, and also like I think it's episode 6 that talks about irrigation and shows what happened on Alex's lawn. All right. So Timothy Wolf's in the house. What's going on, Timothy? He says, happy Friday, Ron. Coming in late and had to mow before rain comes in for the next 6 days. Dude, listen, I'm not mad at you. If you have a choice between coming to the live stream or getting your mowing with a bunch of rain coming, you made the right choice, sir. I'm always going to be here. You can always catch the live stream tomorrow morning. The replay is always a thing. So yeah, getting the mow done is important. Great point. Great. You made the right choice. What I'm trying to say. And JG, I forgot to acknowledge JG. What's going on, JG? Thanks for coming to hang out. We have YouTube royalty in the house. I saw you in the chat there, and I forgot to clap it up. And thank you for coming to hang out. You and LG always fun to have in the live stream. All right. So the next question we have here is JK says, is there any benefit to a light top dressing of problem areas with peat moss? It's not going to hurt anything, but I think if you're going to go through the trouble, I would more opt for something like a compost, right? Because JK, like a compost is going to last longer. It probably has, in my mind, it has a more diverse nutrient makeup. And then some compost you can get will have as far as out of the two, we're just going to be able to put more microbial activity into the soil. I'm going to lean more towards compost than peat moss. Peat moss is fine too, but if I had to do between the two, compost is probably what I would go for. Now, to answer your question, just purely what you asked, no, there's not any negative to it. And there probably are some benefits. It's better than not doing anything at all. But if you're going to go through the trouble, if it were me, I would lean more towards like a compost mix, is what I would do. Great question. Papa Mo's Lowe's in the house. What's going on, sir? Thanks for coming to chime in. I always appreciate you. Always appreciate you. And let's see. Stuart Boss, we're on the lawn leveling trip now. He says, hey, Ron, what would make you decide to level your lawn with a leveling mix versus just plain masonry sand? Love your channel, buddy. I appreciate that, sir. So it depends on what your goals are. I think, in my mind, a 70-30 mix is like the best of both worlds. Like, because you get to introduce some organic material into the soil. So you're feeding the soil. You're putting some like compost, like I'm saying. You're also putting some like microbial activity into the soil. And if you go with like a 70% sand makeup in your leveling mix, you're also adding structure. So you're able to level out, dips and, harsh areas of the lawn so the lawn gets smoother looking. And you're also feeding the soil. Now, if all you care about is, or your primary goal is to get a level turf, like you're just trying to level the lawn, all you're trying to do is add structure, then going with 100% masonry sand can work well too. Like a more expensive way of doing it that is probably another option too is what Alex did. Like Alex's lawn has never had a 70-30 mix. It's always been top dressed with 100% masonry sand, but every time we've top dressed his lawn, we've aerated it and we put down a heavy application of either Essential G or Carbon Pro G. So we've taken care of adding that organic material to the soil as part of the top dressing process. So it just depends. I mean, and in his case, because they play volleyball on that flat area quite a bit, him having more structure, having like a turf that's going to resist like wear, and it's not going to, you're going to be able to beat on it a lot more. It's not going to wear as quickly. Like that was more important to him. So 100% masonry sand, or 100% river sand in his case was a great choice. But in anything you do, I would always recommend adding some form of organic material to it for home lawns. Golf courses do 100% masonry sand, but they're golf courses and they have different goals, and they the way they treat the lawn, their greens is completely different to what we do with our lawn. So that's why I think that organic material of some sort, whether a 70-30 mix or Essential G or Carbon Pro G, is a good idea. That are my thoughts on the matter. All right, JK says, can you do a video on grease mower maintenance? I have questions as far as grease and backlap frequency. Are you greasing your greens master each time you hose it down? Great question, JK. So as far as a video on a video on maintenance, I don't backlap my greens master. I don't backlap any of my mowers. I literally what will happen is I will check if they're cutting paper, and if they're not, I'll adjust the reel to bed knife clearance with the bed bar adjustment screws. I'll take them in like 1 or 2 clicks. If it still doesn't cut paper, it's time for it to go in. I'll send it. I'll just send it in. Let Jerry Pater, whoever, or the guys at in Duluth, Keystone for the True Cut, deal with getting it all freshened up and taken care of. So as far as backlapping, I'm not going to be a whole lot of help with that one. As far as greasing, I don't do it every single time. I grease my mower once a month. So at the beginning of the month, I have a grease gun. There are a couple of Zerg fittings on, not a couple, there's actually quite a few Zerg fittings on the Greens Master. It's important to hit all of those. So I can do that. I can put together a video talking about Greens Master maintenance. It's really going to be hose the mower down after you're done using it, and here are the grease points you need to hit. If you find that interesting, I can absolutely do that. But I'm not going to have anything on backlapping, unfortunately, because I just don't really do that with my mowers. So hopefully that helps. But I do hose it down after every time I mow the lawn. I make sure I don't keep like grass clippings and stuff stay on it. Great question. All right, we got Andrew Summervan from Holland. Hi from Holland. What's going on, man? Hey, it's funny, Andrew. So you'll appreciate this. So Holland. So you're from Holland. The island that I grew up on, St. Eustatius, is actually part of Best. It's part of the Dutch Commonwealth, right? So we are like, we actually belong to Holland. So it's Saba, St. Eustatius, and Bonaire. The three of us are part of. We still are technically Dutch. We're still it's still part of Holland. So it's cool. Always cool to hear from the motherland. someone from chiming in. So it's cool that you're hanging out in the live stream. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Always nice to hear people from overseas, especially someone from Holland. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. So Joe Bravo has a question about a compacted soil. He says, Zone 9A here, extremely compacted clay/sandy soil with some open shadish areas with patchy centipede grass, looking to do something to improve the soil before I do Bermuda seed. Suggestions? Yeah, so as far as improving the compacted soil, aerate it. To get like a billy goat or have a service come out and do it. Aerate your lawn. Like that's going to do a lot for breaking up that compaction. And then I also like to apply something like Essential G or Carbon Pro G to put some nice organic material, some rich biochar and other compost into the soil. That I like. And then depending on how hardcore you want to get, a top dressing. Top dressing is if you can do a light top dress, that's going to do a lot. Between aerating, Carbon Pro G or Essential G, and a light top dress, you're going to be in really good shape for putting down Bermuda grass seed. Now, one thing I would say, and you didn't ask about this, is you say your existing grass is centipede. I would get rid of that before I do Bermuda. I would not seed Bermuda. I would not mixing Bermuda with Bermuda. Like that's already a cardinal sin to most people. But mixing Bermuda with centipede, I don't think you're gonna like the way that looks. Like those grass types look very, very different. And as far as like what you can do to a Bermuda, as far as like some of the herbicides you can use on Bermuda, once the Bermuda gets established and grows in, like they're different than what you can put on centipede. So if you're going to do this, you're going through all this trouble. I would get rid of I would spray out the centipede and then do everything else I was talking about, like aerate, aerate, add some Essential G, top dress if you're open to that, and then do your seeding project, then establish a lawn. That is the way I would go. I would not mix centipede with Bermuda. I mean, I can't tell how many. I mean, I don't have any this week, but it's not uncommon. I either get a question every week on like, how do I get Bermuda out of my St. Augustine, or how do I get my Bermuda out of my centipede lawn, or vice versa. So we don't definitely want to mix those two because if you look at the grass types, they look really different. You don't want to mix Bermuda and centipede. All right, great question, Joe. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, Raj B says, about milky spore. Ron, would you recommend getting milky spore for grubs? Thanks for your great videos. It definitely can't hurt, Raj. I have used milky spore on my lawn in the past. Now, here's the theory. The theory behind milky spore is you apply it, and it supposedly builds up in the soil. So after you do like an application for 1 or 2 seasons, you technically shouldn't have to apply it again. Here's the thing. I did milky spore for 2 years, probably in 2017 and 2018. I forget where the videos are. I've got some videos on the channel about it. I did that. And then I still see grubs in my lawn. I still have. So the way to not have grubs in your lawn is to use an insecticide, like something like a Celoprin. If you want like a really, really good insecticide that is going to knock out grubs, like you have to apply it once per season. It's going to prevent grubs and other nasties in your lawn. A Celoprin is what I would do. You can still apply the milky spore if you want, but a Celoprin is an excellent insecticide. And the nice thing about it, the active ingredient in a Celoprin, because I know with you talking about milky spore, the nice thing about milky spore, right, is that it's organic. So with you, you're probably concerned about not killing things like pollinators or earthworms or things that actually have a healthy job within the lawn, right? So the active ingredient that's in a Celoprin, which is, if I can still remember it, I used to be able to say it, it's chlorantraniliprole. Still got it. Nightmares of trying to rehearse that. So chlorantraniliprole is a really good active ingredient in the sense that it targets the lawn pests like grubworms, bluegrass weevils, billbugs, things like that, but it doesn't hurt pollinators or earthworms. So as far as an excellent insecticide to use on your lawn to keep grubs out, I would do a Celoprin. If you want to put milky spore down too, absolutely go for it. But you will get good results with a Celoprin. I will tell you that much. Great product. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. 2 Shots of Vaca. He says, update on my solid project. And remember, guys, 2 Shots of Vaca, he's been coming in the live stream every week, and he's the one that's doing different things, trying out carbonized PN, Stay Green, a couple other products, and trying to see the comparison of green, how they grow. And he says, let's see. He says, update on my solid project. He says, with the carbonized PN, the Stay Green, the Miracle Grow, Spagnum. He's the sod in the Miracle Grow is much fuller and greener already. I'm really surprised. And it says getting the same water. Let me go here. It says getting the same water, sun, and they all have the same drainage. Interesting. And he says, but we'll keep you updated on this. I've had great yields in my garden with carbonized PN over Miracle Grow or anything else. Also, carbonized PN makes my trees look like they are on steroids. So I don't know. I'm not sure on that one, Two Shots of Vodka. I don't know, because it sounds like you got really good results with carbonized PN in your garden and like your trees. But for some reason on the test plot you tried with the Miracle Grow, that responded better. So I'm not sure exactly with that. I can tell you that I had awesome results with it on my front lawn. It produced a really, really deep green, and there's definitely no negative to it. So I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, just keep testing and keep us posted on how it develops. It's interesting that the Miracle Grow, that you saw a really good response from it. Really, really cool stuff. Thank you for sharing it. All right, LG's like, boss. So, I'm glad you like the shades, LG. I like the shades. Although I'll have to change them because I saw the lawn tools. Like, I don't know if you realize that those guys, like, I think it's Jordan. I think Jordan is his name. Is an optometrist. So he had like the full goggles with the silicone seal, like the really, really good protective goggles. They're not very particularly stylish, but they do a better job. So I may have to look into something like that eventually because it does a better job of protecting your eyes. So we'll see. All right. Dev Rockney says, I love listening, and even though I run Kentucky bluegrass. I appreciate that, sir. Here's the thing. Most of what I talk about applies to all grass types. Like most of what you want to sum up the Ron Henry channel in a nutshell. It's like use a quality fertilizer at the right rate, that'll work on both lawns. Use like carbon soil amendments. I think they add a lot of value, and then mow your lawn. And that works for for both grass types. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, sir. All right, let's see here. Andre K says, it's a really good question. He says, just found you the other day, brother. In your opinion, what are the two things, this is gonna be a tough one, the two things the average person gets wrong in lawn care? I'm a golf turf guy. I would love your take. Dude, okay, so I feel like this is a loaded question because if you're someone that works on golf courses professionally, like I'm not gonna be able to tell you anything, but in my mind, the two things that I see most commonly that most homers get wrong in their lawns. I'll start over. The two things that I see most homers get wrong in their lawn care programs is they water way too much. Like there's some people that in the neighborhood around here that water their lawn every single day. And then the big one is they don't mow their lawn often enough. So mowing, like I can't stress enough how big a deal mowing is to getting really, really good grass and having it stay green between mowings. Like a big part of like, you think about it, I talk about the golf course lawn. That's my whole thing, right? That's my whole, like the brand, that's everything I'm about. Like if you think about the biggest difference or one of the biggest differences between golf courses, like tee boxes and greens or fairway compared to most homeowner residential lawns are two things. One, it's the mowing height, like they use real mowers, but that aside, it's the mowing frequency, right? Like they mow them a lot. Like tee box, I'm not sure if they mow those every single day, but greens get cut every single day, right? And they use quality chemicals. They may, I believe most of them will soil test, and they apply products that actually fit the soil. But out of the two things, I have to nail down the two things that I see people doing wrong most of is they water their lawn way too much and they don't mow enough. If I could swap out the watering, I might swap out water for every month they think they need to spray herbicides and they don't mow enough. So it's either that. It's either too much water and not enough mowing, or spraying herbicides every month and not enough mowing. Those are the two things that most homeowners get wrong, because they think that you have to spray the lawn every single month to keep weeds away. And really, if you're mowing your lawn frequently and actively enough, like you're doing a good job with that, like especially with Bermuda, that's like natural weed control. So those are the two best things that tips I would give to any homeowner. And I appreciate you chiming in. So it's always cool to have someone from industry coming in and chiming in and hanging out in the live stream. Really appreciate it. All right. Jason Sieberlich says, apps I put down last year were $80 per 1,000 square feet last year. For a point of reference, also ran $25 per month program. Those are for a year. So there you go. Yeah. So that's not too far off. I said on the high level, $150 thereabouts. So I'm probably a bit high. But it depends. It depends. Also, I'm also doing like spoon feeding, Jason, and the Humic Max is a little more expensive fertilizer. So I'm probably not at the $80. I'm probably somewhere between 100 and 150, somewhere thereabouts. But thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it. All right. Adam Reed said, I just finished my top dressing. I'm feeling it. You got to clap it up for that, sir. Congratulations. Congratulations. And you're not really feeling it now. You're going to feel it mainly tomorrow, but really by Sunday is when you're really going to be feeling it. So cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Well, dude, it's a huge amount of work, but you got it done. That's That's one of the best things you can do for your lawn, especially if you have warm season grass. So awesome. Awesome you got it done. All right. All right, so Eric Newton says, hey, Ron, what's up? I'm trying to push my Bermuda after a scalp about 2 months ago. Having a hard time greening up. Any suggestions other than the high nitro fert? We've had crazy temp swings here in North Carolina. Okay, so I would not recommend high nitro fert. That's not a recommendation. So you scalped it 2 months ago. Here's the thing, Eric. We have had unseasonably or unusually cool spring temperatures, right? We haven't had the temperatures to really get the grass really growing. One of the best things you can do for helping to stimulate growth in your lawn is just to mow it more. So if you're getting out there, you're mowing it twice a week. That's going to help the lawn with greening up, believe it or not. And as far as fertilizer versus using a high nitro fert, since the lawn isn't really greening up anyway, I would imagine that with it being scalped 2 months ago, it should be greening up by now. If you've not done a soil test as yet for the season, now would be a good time to do that. Like get a soil test done. The one I like is this one from my soil. And let's see if there's anything weird going on in the lawn, because even with it being 2 months and even with the cooler temps, Bermuda should still be greening up. I may not be 100% green, but it should be, you should be closer to green than further away from green at this point. If not, and you don't have any weird things going on in your lawn, like there's a ton of shade or things like that, I'd start looking into the soil and let's see what's going on with that. So, I mean, don't just get out there willy-nilly and throw down a bunch of high nitrogen fert. Let's take this as an opportunity to get a soil test done. Again, the My Soil one is the one I like. You can get it here at the Golf Course Lawn Store. And let's see what's going on. Maybe there's some deficiency that we can correct with the correct fertilizer, and that's going to help your lawn to really take off once the heat is consistently here. That's what I would recommend. Great question. Sorry you're having a hard time, but I promise you it can be fixed. You got Bermuda, so Bermuda doesn't take very much to be happy. So so once the heat gets here, it's going to go in, but we can make it even more alpha if we soil test and apply a fert that matches what your soil is dealing with. All right. Brandon is chiming in on the Ego mower. He says their battery platform is great. Trimmer, blower, and hedger. Just wish they would lower the height of cut. I hear you on that one. And Tom K. I'm hearing this, Tom. He says, Site One hit me with a 20% increase on my Carbon Pro G. I was looking for some alternatives. So a good alternative to that, Tom, is Essential G. And it's on sale right now until Monday. So this Essential G, this product is made by the same people, Miramichi Green, that makes Carbon Pro G. It's a newer formulation that has some silica in it, has more humic acid in it. Very, very good product. I'm using it on my lawn, seeing excellent results with it. So if you're looking for an alternative to Carbon Pro G, Essential G is something you could try out. I don't know that it's gonna. I'm not sure what how the math works out. That price you see on the website right now is shipped, so that's to your door. And that price is going to go up on Monday. So if you want to give it a shot, or you're thinking about it, if you want to see what kind of results you can get with it, order a bag or two now and see what you get. All righty, and I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know why they're raising the price. I guess it's just the demand or whatever. But it stinks because it's a great product. People really can get. I really want people to start using it on their lawns. If they make it super expensive, then people aren't going to be able to use it. At least not locally, anyway. All right, let's see. Chris Sykes, good question here. Just how often do you water your lawn every day after overseeding? Just top dress and put down some seed a week ago. I've been watering about 10 to 15 minutes twice daily. Is that about right? How long do I keep that up? 3 weeks to be safe, Chris. So I've been doing my lawn every day, and I will continue that until this time next week. So by the 21st, thereabouts of this month, so next Friday is when I'll knock that off. I'll go back to my normal watering schedule. Here's the thing: the weather's been fairly cool, but it's still been warm enough that Arden 15 should germinate, and we've been getting rain, so I haven't really needed to water quite as heavily. But every day I've been running the sprinklers at least once per day, just to make sure that it doesn't dry out. I'll tell you one thing, guys. That hydrotain is some good stuff, man. I mean, as far between the hydrotain and also the granular carbon and that leveling mix, like the soil is definitely retaining moisture a lot better. So it's doing really well. Twice per day, 10, 15 minutes. It sounds about right, Chris. It just depends on how much water your irrigation puts out in 10 to 15 minutes, right? Everyone is different, but that sounds like a good safe number. And as far as just to be super safe, 3 weeks is how long I would keep that up. Arden 15. You didn't say which seed, but I'm assuming it's Arden 15. If it's Arden 15, you should start seeing germination about 10 days after seeding it. So 3 weeks is just a good safety buffer to make sure you have plenty of water to get the grass all the grass to germinate, and then you can back it down to your normal Whatever you normally, however you normally water your lawn. Great question. So 3 weeks. That's why it's so expensive. Like the seed is expensive, but the water is even worse. All right. Mr. Green Thumb has a question here. I think also about Bermuda seed. He says, hey, Ron, Bermuda seed heads are kicking my butt. Yeah, that's becoming a thing now as temps are starting to go up. Cutting 2 to 3 times a week, and I've applied PGR to my lawn here in Dallas. We've had high temps drop into the 50s. I think my lawn might be under stress. Quite possibly, Mr. Green Thumb. So in most cases, so seed heads, at least on my lawn, I haven't seen any this year as yet. But once the temps start getting into the 80s consistently, I'm going to start seeing some seed heads in my lawn. And for me, in most cases, that's like a 2 to 3 week issue. So it's like the research that I've read about it points to whenever the grass is under stress, like there's a big temperature change, it begins producing seed heads because it's like it's a way of surviving, right? It's just to throw off seeds to say, hey, if I die off, at least my babies will grow off and germinate and be somewhere else. It's a way for the seeds. It's a stress response, in other words. PGR does help with that some. It doesn't eliminate it entirely. But in most cases, for most lawns, especially for someone like you that's cutting 2 to 3 times a week, it's usually only a problem that only lasts for a couple of weeks, for a few weeks. 2 to 3 weeks is what you're going to really get the brunt of it. And then, the grass is going to adjust it. It tends to fall away. So, I know it stinks, but just keep doing what you're doing. Keep mowing. And in a couple of weeks, it should become less of a thing that's been my experience with it anyway. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Adam Reed is saying, if you have acidic soil, you want to pound sand only. All right, Adam, thanks for chiming in. All right, let's see here. Dwayne Hopkins says, hello, Ron, love the channel. Appreciate it, sir. Says, do you have any experience with a pro plugger? It's a tongue twister. I am curious when you would recommend it versus allowing for the Bermuda to fill in on its own. I've never used one myself personally. It depends on the area you're trying to get the grass to grow in. So if you got say if you take out a really big tree, like say you got something that's like more than a foot by a foot, right? In that case, plugging the lawn, putting a plug in there will probably help speed up how quickly it fills in. So in cases where people have taken out entire trees, I've seen that be a case where you've got like maybe a 6 to 8 foot diameter, 6 foot area where there was a tree and now there's grass, or then now there's just soil because the tree's gone. In a case like that, yeah, pro plugger makes a whole lot of sense because you plug it and you just got more. You've got more like islands for the grass to grow from. So it's gonna be fill in faster versus having to grow from one coast to the other coast. So anything bigger than a foot by a foot, it probably makes sense to throw a plug or two in there. That's going to help speed up how quickly the lawn fills in. And if you are, and as far as how well the Pro Plugger works, I've never used it, but the videos that I've seen of it seems to perform pretty well. People that have it seem to like it. So hopefully that helps. All right, Carl says, just order 2 bags of Essential G before the price goes up. I have a soil test results coming in soon. Should I wait until my soil has a nutrients, or can I put the EG down before my fert application? You can put the Essential G down whenever you want. You can put it down if it came in tomorrow. You can apply it all tomorrow, no problem. It's not tied to fertilizer application or anything like that. No problem whatsoever with doing that at all. All right. Alonso learns like, hey, Ron, you're in a crazy fuel shortage. You must buy an electric reel mower, trimmer, blower. What's it going in the cart? So you're saying, hypothetically speaking, what would I have to buy? And there's no budget, so money's no option. I'd probably get the Toro. I'd get the Toro electric mower, and then I'd probably get the trimmer and edger and string trimmer from Ego, something like that. One of those. I don't know. I don't know if Toro makes electric ones. Actually, no, Toro does make electric ones. I might go Toro for everything because I've watched some of Alan's videos, and Toro does make an electric blower. So I'd probably just be all Toro. I go Toro on the mower for sure because I got a real mow. And get their edger and blower. I just go all with that. That would be I go with. Keep it all, just coordinate, be all red, Got to keep it all together. That's what I would do. Great question. Hopefully it doesn't come to that anytime soon, but we'll see. All right. Dwayne Hopkins says, question I've gotten before, but it's a good one. He says, hey, Ron, I'm curious why you choose not to overseed your lawn with ryegrass in the winter to keep it green all year long. Okay, so two main reasons for that, Dwayne. One is if I overseed in the winter, that means I have to get out and mow the lawn in the winter. And I'm from the Caribbean, so I don't like cold weather. Like anything below 65 degrees for me is officially cold. So I don't have to mow in the wintertime. So that's why I don't do it, for number one. And the second reason why is because when the springtime rolls around, you're going to have two grass types. You got rye and you're going to have Bermuda. And when the Bermuda's coming out of dormancy, you're going to have to get rid of the rye so it doesn't it's not competing with the Bermuda for resources. So what that means is if I apply a perennial rye to my lawn, if I overseed in the fall, what that's going to mean is in the spring, I'm going to have to blanket spray my entire lawn to spray it out, right? And because I'm someone that doesn't, I try to really limit how often I put herbicides on my lawn. By doing a rye overseed, I'm pretty much guaranteeing I got to blanket the entire lawn with a herbicide to get rid of it. So for those reasons, mainly I don't want to I like mowing in cold weather, and then I got to spray the lawn out to get rid of it. Those are two reasons why I personally choose not to do it. I mean, I don't have anything against ryegrass. If you look at the masters, like a ryegrass looks amazing. I mean, as far as like stripe action and just being a gorgeous grass to look at, it's great. But I just don't want to mix. I don't want to have to deal with that. It's too much for me. It's just too much hassle. I do enough stuff to my lawn already. I don't want to have to introduce like a blanket herbicide application and winter mowing to the mix too. So that's why I don't do it. Good question though. All right. So Dev Rockney says, I'm in Utah. It's very dry right now. Would you put down hydrotane a month before the heat starts? Yeah, I would. I'd probably do it like right now. Would be a great time to do it because if you apply hydrotane properly, you get about 90 days, 3 months or so of coverage of coverage out of it, right? So if you were to apply it now, you're starting to get into the heat. It's gonna get down into the soil, begin working, and it's gonna help your lawn over the hottest parts of the summer. So I absolutely would do it now. Of the two, you can do the liquid or the granular. If you have the time and if you really wanna, if you're fine with like wetting your lawn first, applying the liquid, and then applying liquid hydrogen and then watering the lawn again to get down the soil, that's a great option. You actually get better value for money with the liquid. But if you want something with a little bit more headroom, a little more leeway, the granular is what you could go with. That's what I use on my lawn because I don't have to get out there and water it right after putting it down. And both of them, both the liquid and the granular hydrotane, are available on the Golf Floor Salon store in case you don't already have it. Great question, but yeah, I would definitely get it down ahead of time. You want to be ahead of the curve on that before versus trying to respond to it. All righty then, let's see here. So D-Don has a question about top dressing. He says, hey, how many cubic yards of sand organic mix would you recommend on 4,000 square feet with a light top dress like you've mentioned before? I would go for if it's your first time, Dom, I would go for like 4 yards. 3 to 4 yards is what I would go with. Mainly because you can always find a place to add a little bit more sand, but take it from personal experience, there is nothing more irritating. Well, that's not true. There's probably things more irritating, but there's few things more irritating when it comes to lawn care than going through all the trouble of lining up like all the equipment or just the time and the help, like having a buddy come over to top dress your lawn and then you run out of sand. Like it's just, I would definitely say for a light top dress, 4 yards, like 1 yard per 1,000 square feet is a good, safe number. That's going to be good for a fairly light top dress. And if you have a little extra, you're going to be able to find the spaces where you can put some more in and kind of build up a little bit. But you don't want to run out. So 3,500, or 3.5 yards is probably fine. But I would just go 4 yards and you should be good to go. 1 yard per 1,000 square feet is a good, safe number to assure good coverage and not without running out. Hopefully that helps. So a good example, like when I did the back lawn, which is 10,000 square feet, thereabouts. 10,000 square feet. I used 7 yards of the leveling mix, right? So I actually went lighter than that rule that I was telling you about. But remember, my lawn's been top dressed several times. This was like the fourth time the lawn's been top dressed. So I was able to go super light and just fill those little areas of wear from the mower and still get a pretty good result. For someone the first time that's top dressing their lawn, your lawn's going to eat more sand than you think. So 1 yard per 1,000 is the way I'd go. That's what I would do. Final answer. All right, Autumn Henry, what's going on? Hey, sweetie, what's going on? He says, hello, Elbow Cough, you got this. What's going on? Thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. I appreciate you. All right, next up, we got Kevin Moore. He says, love your channel. I have an option to buy green silica sand for top dressing. The good stuff. It's going to be expensive, I'm sure. The place I can get it from sells to other golf courses for different repair. Have you ever seen this product? I've seen green sand. And the idea behind it, there's nothing really special about the green sand other than that it's like if you put it down your lawn, I should say that the fact that it's silica is special from the standpoint that it's going to resist wear a lot better. Like as far as it being a harder, like the granules being harder, compared to like standard river sand or masonry sand, silica sand is a better quality sand for leveling. And it being green, it's gonna whenever you put it down your lawn, you're not gonna see like the white areas of your lawn as much because it's green, right? It's gonna blend in with the grass. So there's that benefit to it. It tends to be a little bit more pricey, but it is good stuff. It is good stuff. So yeah, if you can get your hands on it at a reasonable price and you have access to it, I absolutely would. I'd actually would pull the trigger on that. Yeah, that's awesome, Kevin. It's good stuff. Let's see what else we have going on here. So, Cars, Motorcycles, and Exotics says, "Hey Ron, I'm applying the carbon kit from you every 2 weeks on my Bermuda and Zoysia. Am I okay to add Turfplex with it every 2 weeks as well?" Absolutely, you are. Cars, Motorcycles, and Exotics. Now, I covered this. There's actually a video in the course, literally in Golf Course Lawn Academy, that talks about that in particular. Like literally, I talk about like how I use Turfplex and the carbon kit. But in a nutshell, every time you apply Turfplex, you can also apply the carbon kit with no problem whatsoever. The only caveat to that, the only one that won't really work for is the BioSpectrum. Unless you buy like a bag of BioSpectrum or like some of it for yourself, is because what we include in the kit are these capsules, and each one of these guys are like, they cover like 5,000 square feet, like one of these capsules, right? So you can't really split this up over applications at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. So BioSpectrum, if you have the carbon kit, you're going to do the BioSpectrum at the beginning of the month, and then everything else you can do twice a month. So the first of the month application is going to have everything and BioSpectrum. The middle of the month application is going to have everything minus BioSpectrum, unless you just buy BioSpectrum by itself, and then you can do it every time if you want. So that's but yeah, there's no negative to that whatsoever. Cars, Motorcycles, and Exotics, you're going to get great results doing that. Good stuff. All right, let's see what else we have going on here. OU, Tennessee, Florida, Tull Win says, "Curious if there are things that many people who are hardcore about their lawns do, but you just don't do. Are there anything? Are there any things you used to do, but don't do because you don't see enough benefit?" Great question. What do a lot of people do that I don't do? I don't pick up my plugs after aerating. That's something a lot of people that are hardcore about their lawn do, and I don't do. And to be fair, it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but to be fair, there are some soil types, right? Like there are some soil types that whenever you pull a plug, when that plug dries out, it does get really, really hard. It doesn't break down like how mine do. So in that case, I do see the argument for if you want to pick up those plugs, I can see the value in doing that. But that's probably the big thing that I don't do that a lot of like super hardcore lawn people do as far as like lawn care processes. They don't pick up their like I don't pick up plugs whenever I aerate. And I probably run less nitrogen in my lawn than a lot of people do. Like a lot of people that are super hardcore into lawn care tend to, I mean, they may or may not tell you this, but they tend to push a lot of N in their lawn, push a lot of nitrogen in their lawn. I don't do that. I run below, like well under a pound of nitrogen in my lawn. Probably like, again, 0.7 of a pound monthly. Mainly, and as far as why I did that, why I went lower, is because like when I started really focusing on improving the soil, OU, Tennessee, Florida, Tull, Win. The reason why is that when I started focusing on improving the soil, I was able to get a really good result in the lawn with less inputs, right? Because you start pushing a lot of nitrogen in the lawn, yeah, it makes the lawn grow, but it also causes a lot of excessive top growth. It can contribute to developing a thatch layer. In my lawn, it's kind of unlikely because I mow often enough. But like putting too much nitrogen in the lawn is not necessarily a good thing, right? So that's probably the two things. I say aerating, like my aerating practices, and as far as like the amount of N that I run in the lawn, I probably go a little bit less than most other people do. Those are the things that come to the top of my mind. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Yeah. And then LG's like, that Humic Max fertilizer be like, It is. It's good stuff. You think about it. To your point, to answer your question, OU, like the fertilizer that I'm using on my lawn, Humic Max, this one, Literally, I am applying this at half a pound of nitrogen per month of this fertilizer. I'm putting it out 3 pounds per thousand, which Bermuda doesn't sound like very much at all, right? You're like, oh, that's way low. You need like almost double that. But I put down half a pound of nitrogen, and then I also spray a little bit of liquid fertilizer to make that up, and I get a really good results on my lawn. So that's a good example of something that I do that is probably a little bit abnormal compared to most other hardcore lawn care people. I just run a lot less nitrogen in my lawn. All righty. SMK says, hello, Ron. Hey, what's going on, man? It's always good to hear from you, sir. He says, it's been unusually long spring in Georgia. We are in the mid-May with March-like temps. I agree. It's not fun. I'm ready for heat to get here. Are you having problems with slow growth too? Did my first PGR app 1/4 ounce per 1,000 square feet in early May? Growth is too slow. Yeah, so here's what you can see, SMK. If you want to see what the lawn looks like today, this is a video I literally shot today of the lawn. So this is what it looks like as far as growth. You can see there that one sandy area where the lawn is not filled in as yet. And this is 13 days after top dressing. Color's still good. Growth is still pretty good. Like every time I mow, stuff is coming out of the lawn, but it's definitely not growing as aggressively as it would be normally for this time of year. And like you, I did do PGR. I did PGR last Sunday. So, no, was it last Sunday? Whatever it was, like almost 2 weeks ago at this point. In my lawn. So I went a little heavier because I'm hybrid. I didn't go at 1/4. I went at 0.38. But yeah, it's just, we just need the heat, man. We just don't have enough heat in Georgia right now to get the lawn going. But it'll come in. It's gonna be here soon. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. It's gonna happen next week. By this time next week, it's gonna be hot. All right, so what's what we got going on here? Metro Retro, what's going on, Ron? Big fan. I'm sure you are. I'm glad you're a big fan, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Metro Retro, for coming in. I know who you are, and I really appreciate you taking some time to come hang out in the lawn. All right, Anthony Paccal says, what should I use to top dress my lawn in Ohio? Okay, so I'm assuming you have like a ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass, Anthony. So you can use the same stuff that we use. You can use river sand, masonry sand. I see that being used by some of the guys up north. I'm still a fan of a 70-30 mix. Like my answer is still not really going to change on that. I really think that whenever you're top dressing your lawn, adding some organic material is a good idea. So a 70-30 mix or masonry or / river sand are good options for top dressing your lawn, even in Ohio. That is what I would use. All right, let's see. Brad H says, hey Ron, question: does Bermuda get tired? Does it get old, tired, or just worn out? I have an older yard that looks good in places. The Bermuda just looks thin and tired, if that makes sense. It doesn't get tired or worn out. What happens is if you mow the lawn, you can have some areas of the lawn that can see more wear due to traffic, like due to either traffic from mowing or traffic from people playing on it, or heaven forbid someone's driving their car or parking their lawn on the lawn. That kind of stuff can cause more wear. But one thing what you tend to find is in older lawns, especially people that haven't been soil testing or haven't been regularly fertilizing their lawn, the soil might be depleted of nutrients. And a lot of what the thin, and again, I'm assuming you don't have any issues with sunlight here, assuming you don't have issues with shade or things like that. Like that, take that off, assume that. A lot of people a lot of times when you see lawns that are thinner, it's because it's just lacking for nutrients. And if you get a soil test done and you realize like what the soil is lacking and you apply a fertilizer to amend that, you can make an older lawn look great. I mean, because remember, grass is always renewing. It's not like even if you have a lawn that's like 20 years old, it's not like the grass itself that's on the lawn now is 20 years old. It's always growing. It's always getting cut, right? So it's always being rejuvenated. So in older lawns, the things that I see are a lot of neglect as far as from people typically not fertilizing like they should, or the lawn not getting the right combination of fertilizer, or the pH getting out of whack and they're not doing things to adjust that. And all those are things that you can address with one of these. So a soil test kit is going to answer the question, let you know exactly what's going on with your lawn. So I highly recommend doing that, especially if the areas that you're talking about that are thin for no apparent reason. If again, we're assuming there's no shade problem or someone's not parking something on that area of the lawn. If it's just thin, that could be, getting a soil test done is a good idea. Another thing that can cause a lawn to become thin or just not to thrive that well, especially as they get older, is compaction. So if you haven't aerated your lawn, you don't have to top dress it, but like aerating your lawn with like Holotine aerating it, unless some people disagree with me on that, But it is one of the best things you can do for your lawn every year to get air in the soil, get water in the soil, to reduce compaction. So that is something that's also not that will help an older lawn. So doing a good old fashioned Halotine aerating, that can help as well too. So that, coupled with a soil test and then applying the right fertilizer, you should be able to bring pretty much any lawn back, right? No, I mean, in other words, the age of the lawn isn't good, doesn't mean that the grass is no good. We got to burn it down and start over with something else. It's just needs, you just give it the right set of nutrients to help the soil, feed the grass accordingly. So hopefully that helps. Great question. Let's see what other goes. So we got here. We have a question from Michael R. He says, "Have you ever used Fahrenheit herbicide to control annual weed grasses?" No, I haven't. Michael, I've never used that one. Not familiar with that one, but I'll look into it. It'd be good to know a little bit more about it. Let's see what else we got here. So other questions, and then SMK says that's another good question. He says, I've had huge success last year plugging area affected with spring dead spot. So there you go. Like if you have that one, and actually it's a good idea, SMK. I should see if I can get my hands on a pro plugger, because I do have like an 8-inch section of my lawn out near the rocks that got hit with spring dead spot this year. And maybe plugging it would help that bounce back a little sooner. I mean, it normally does. Normally by now it would already be growing in if we had heat, but we just haven't had any, so it hasn't grown in as yet. So that's another good point, SMK. Like as far as recovering from fungus issues, or then plugging is also good for that as well. All righty then. So Brandon Rodots has a question. He says, "My Bermuda lawn up in Marietta is still struggling to green up. When do you think would be the best time to do a full lawn top dressing? Recently aerated and fertilized and applied Humic Max and biochar." So here's the thing. Everybody's lawn, Brandon, is a little bit slow this year around. Just temperatures have been a little bit cooler than they should be for this time of year, and it's just causing the lawn just to not grow as aggressively. As far as when you can aerate, when you can top dress, a lot of it depends on how long you're willing to put up with the lawn being sandy, right? So you can top dress now. Like, I mean, Alex and I top dressed our lawn almost 2 weeks ago. As tomorrow will be 2 weeks since our lawns were top dressed. So with you being in Marietta, you're not that far from me. We have the same temperature. You could do it tomorrow if you wanted to. The lawn is just going to take a little bit longer to bounce back. I mean, probably not as bad, because we are starting to get some heat in the forecast, so it should come back fairly soon. But if your main goal is you want to top dress and you want it to come back as quickly as possible, I'm going to say wait till June, given our like abnormal warming trend, because that by then we should be plenty hot and the lawn is going to come back really quickly. But as far as doing it now, you're not going to hurt anything by top dressing now. It's just going to take longer to come back. So it's kind of your call as far as when you want to do it. Either will work. All right, so Eric Newton says, "Hey Ron, yes, I did a soil test and it showed low nitrogen and phosphorus, but yes, it's more green after the scalp, cutting twice a week. I guess I'm ready to use that reel mower and level this moon lawn." Yeah, man. I mean, reel mowing is one of the best things you can do for your grass, especially if you have like a warm season. If you have a warm season grass type like Bermuda, yeah, I mean, reel mowers is a great thing to do on your lawn. If if you have the time and the desire to mow your lawn that much. Yep, that's definitely a good thing. All right, Brandon, chiming back in here. He says, "Hey, I filled in the ruts with a 50-50 potting soil and sand mix, still waiting for the grass to push through. I'm definitely hesitant to do a full application." So one thing, Brandon, remember the cardinal rule when it comes to top dressing. We want to go light. We don't want to bury the lawn. In other words, like if you're talking about like just a little small areas of the lawn that are buried, that's okay. But like overall, if you look at the lawn, you should see grass clippings coming through most of the lawn after a decent top dress. You don't want the lawn to be all buried. But again, even if you did that, not going to really matter, because once heat gets here, Bermuda's going to go right through it. It's not going to be a problem at all. Not going to be a problem. All right, we are winding down, boys and girls. So Adam has a question here about the California McLean. He says, "California McLean trimmer reel mower over the Toro John Deere for ease of height of cut adjustments, or would I be running into the same issue in the future while doing repairs, replacing parts on the McLean California trimmer?" Okay, so so here's the thing, Adam. They are completely different classes of machine. Is it easier to adjust the height of cut on a California trimmer and a McLean than a True Cut or John Deere? Yes, absolutely. That said, like you can't really compare the two, because the kind of cut you're going to get out of a Greensmaster or a John Deere, like a McLean is never going to be able to match that. I mean, it's just not. They're completely different levels of awesome when it comes to mowing your lawn. So I would put it in the lines like McLean trimmer, and McLean and True Cut. Like those are kind of in the same ballpark. Out of those three, I kind of prefer the True Cut more, to be completely honest. But comparing a trimmer to a Toro is just not. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's designed to. It is more involved to cut the height, to change the height of cut on a Toro and John Deere, but there's a reason for that. Like literally, the mowers are designed to be set up in the workshop in the morning before they all go out to cut the greens. Like whoever the greens master is decides, hey, we're going to be cutting the greens at this height, today, and the mowers are all set up at that height, and then they go out and they're all cut at that same height. And because there's no way to easily adjust the mower in the field, that the guy or gal that's running the mower on the green isn't going to adjust it. There's no way to really do that because it's set up ahead of time. So it's like the way the use case for the devices is completely different, and then the quality of cut you get out of them is like completely different. So I will say that I don't know, I've heard that the parts for McLean's can be kind of expensive, and as far as getting the parts can be more difficult. Like Toro parts are fairly easy to come by, so. It just depends, man. It depends on what you're willing to put up with, what your budget's like for repairs, and then what kind of like how picky you are with the quality of cut in your lawn. If like amazing quality of cut is like your big thing, then something with a rare drum is what you're gonna want. So like again, a Toro, John Deere. Allet has some of their higher end mowers can also do really well. Like those are used on sports fields. You want something that's like a commercial grade piece of equipment if you're really going for like the best quality of cut without a lot of headache as far as maintenance. All right, so we have Donnell Burrell in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, what's going on? Lawn Academy in the house. Welcome, sir." Yep, that's right. Donnell Burrell is in the Golf Course Lawn Academy. I appreciate that, sir. He says, "I decided to aerate my lawn myself. I'm going to rent one, but I don't think I can put it in the back of my Highlander. Can I put down Carbon Pro G after it's done?" Yes, you can. And here's the thing. Here's one benefits to the Ryans is that I think the Ryans fold down. If you go to Home Depot, those aerators will actually fit in the back of a minivan, and they probably will fit in the back of your Highlander because the handle will fold. Like there's two little screws and a pin, and the whole thing will fold forward, and it actually becomes fairly compact. I know it'll fit in the back of a minivan. You can probably also get it in the back of a Highlander too. I mean, you can go there and check and see, but if you get like a Ryan, I know those will fold up. I don't think the Billy Goats fold up, but the Ryans will. So that's something in the feather in the cap for that type of aerator. And yes, after you're done, I absolutely would apply Carbon Pro G, or if you need to do your fertilizer, that's a great time to do it. That's a good time to do anything like that to your lawn after aerating. All right, so Justin Aguilar says, "Hey Ron, I just sodded my lawn and put down Carbon Pro G and RGS. I just want to know how often I should water for the second week. Twice a day, 10 minutes each zone." Yeah, I mean, if it's Bermuda sod, you really don't need that much water on it. I mean, you don't want it to dry out, but as long as it's not drying out, I mean, I would water it. I would do that. I would look at the sod and make sure that it's not like beginning to look, even remotely parched, and then I would run irrigation. But as far as like the watering requirements for sod are not the same watering requirements that there are for like seed, if that makes sense. It doesn't require as much. So you could do that. You can keep running it twice a day if you want, 10 minutes per zone for through week 2. But after that, I'd start weaning the sod off of being watered, twice a day, because you want it to root. You want it to those roots to drive deep to try and find water. And if you're watering it like a ton, you're kind of working against doing that. So yeah, I would water it for it to get established, but then once it seems like it's doing all right, it's got its legs, back off on the watering. All right, LG's talking about his KBG. He says, "Hey, Ron Henry, my KBG is super dense right now. I could probably throw an egg across the lawn without breaking it." That's pretty cool. "I've never stepped on Bermuda lawn before. Does Bermuda get dense too?" Yes, Bermuda gets very, very dense. It gets incredibly dense. Yeah, not right now because it's just not hot enough, but like in this time next month, assuming that Mother Nature cooperates, Bermuda gets super dense, super thick. I mean, it's probably... Now, what gets denser than Bermuda is like Zoysia, like Xeon Zoysia. gets like crazy dense, almost to the point that it's too dense that some real mowers have trouble cutting it. That's how dense Zoysia can get. But Bermuda can also get very, very dense too. Once the heat arrives and if you're throwing PGR on it and you're mowing it a lot, it can get and stay really dense. So yeah, it's like literally it's like walking on a carpet. Really, really good stuff. Alrighty, Grace has a question about Carbon Pro G. She says, "Hey Ron, what are the benefits of Carbon Pro G?" Great question, Grace. So there's a few benefits. So to answer the benefits, we need to talk about the makeup of it. So Carbon Pro G is primarily two things. It's compost, which is an organic way to add nutrients and organic material to the soil. And then it's biochar, which is the thing that's really the secret sauce, right? So the benefits of Carbon Pro G, the biochar that's in Carbon Pro G, because it's a charged biochar, it can help, one, draw pH to that Goldilocks zone of the mid-sixes. So it's a pH optimizer, so it's good for that standpoint. And biochar has the benefits of making nutrients, improving nutrient availability, and also improving water availability. So as far as like the soil's ability to hold on to moisture and hold on to nutrients, to prevent what's called leaching in the soil. Like a lot of times, if you put like fertilizer down, and you get a lot of rain. A lot of it simply just runs through the soil. You begin to lose it. Carbon Pro G, the biochar that's in Carbon Pro G, helps prevent some of that. So, and with Carbon Pro G as well, there's also a microbial package that's also included with it as well. So you're feeding the soil from an organic standpoint. You're improving the ability of the soil to retain nutrients, retain water, and make those available to the grass. And you're also introducing like healthy microbes that help drive breaking down fertilizer or anything else that you apply to the lawn. So overall, it's a great product. Same thing for Essential G, also an excellent product. It's one of those things that you can apply to your lawn at any time of the year, really, assuming your lawn's your ground's not frozen, and it's going to help improve your lawn. So it's really, really great product. And because it has no NPK in it, you can apply it heavy. So if you decided this season, hey, I'm going to take the plunge, I really want to get serious with doing our biostimulants and adding like Essential G or Carbon Pro G to my lawn, you could literally go out and buy 10, 15 bags of it and apply it to your lawn if you wanted to. You're not going to hurt anything. You know what I mean? And the thing with biochar, unlike compost, is that it stays in the soil. It doesn't go away. So like biochar has a half-life of something like 500 years. So we'll all be dead and gone. And the Carbon Pro, the biochar that's in Carbon Pro G will still be in that particular part of the soil, for hundreds of years. So it's almost like an investment in your lawn long term. So that's some of the benefits of it. And that's why I also really like it. Hopefully that helps. All right. Insane Fitness has a question about aerating his lawn in Humic Max. He says, just got my lawn aerated. Applied Humic Max 4 bags of super sod level mix down. There was no way without a level rake. You recommended. Thanks for helping me over the emails. You're very welcome, sir. Yeah, and that level rake is clutch, right? It makes a huge difference as far as the quality of job you're able to do, and just the ease, right? Because it's almost like a shovel and a leveling device all in one. You can move the material around and you can work it in. So I'm glad that you got a good result and that you got the Humic, your top dressing job done. And very, very happy, sir. Always happy to help out. Always nice to see people that I talk to in email also in the live stream. So thanks for coming in and letting me know that you had a good result. All right, and then SMK is talking about I can imagine SMK sipping out. A lot of times he likes to drink out of like a measuring cup or whatever. But he'll be like, at Adam, he says Toro and John Deere are top notch option. If you buy McLean or trimmer, you're still going to want to upgrade. That is true. Real mowing is addictive and you will feel the itch for a greens mower, so just buy it once. He's absolutely right. Like if you know that real mowing is something you want to do, like just save yourself a bunch of time and money and just buy a greens mower. Like literally just do it, because like that is going to be the pinnacle. That's as good as it's going to get. You can buy a Toro, you can buy a John Deere, or if you got some real coin, like Allet makes some really high-end stuff. Like some of their stuff is also good too. But yeah, there's nothing that cuts like a greens mower on your lawn. There's just nothing. I mean, I had a True Cut, and literally I was cutting my lawn for years with the True Cut, and then some of you guys in the comments were saying you should get a greens mower. You need to put a greens mower on that lawn. It'll be that much difference. It'll be awesome. I'm like, whatever. It can't be that good. I mean, how much better could a greens mower be than my True Cut? My True Cut is like the alpha and omega of mowers. It's just awesome, right? And I've told this story before. I'll tell it again. I got that Greensmaster. I made 2 passes. And then I looked at the lawn and then to turn it off and guys, I had a moment. I just started laughing and looking at it, and I could not believe what I was seeing. And the thing is, that was only the first cut. It got better and better after that, right? So, if uncompromising quality of cut is what you're after, and you're able to put up with some of the inconveniences like the drive wheels have to move it around and that kind of thing, greens mower is the way to go. That's what I would recommend. Tim is in the house with a super chat. Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Super chat
He's
received.
showing up late. I have a lot of runners on top of the grass. Should I just keep mowing like normal or pull them out? I would just keep mowing like normal. I would keep mowing like normal. I mean, you could, if you pull them, like, why? That's like the Bermuda trying to reach out, right? So, I mean, if you pull them, they're just gonna grow back eventually once heat gets here. But I would just keep mowing. I wouldn't pull the runners. I wouldn't get rid of the Solons. I wouldn't do that. All right. Jorge Ramirez says, what's a good nitrogen you recommend? Okay, so the one that I like is this one, Jorge. It's called Humic Max from Lebanon Turf. This guy, you can get that at the golf course lawn store. The reason why I like Humic Max, right? Why I put like this particular fertilizer, and I'll take this off so you can actually see me. And again, you can get it here at the golf course lawn store. Why I like that is that the nitrogen, the type of nitrogen that Lebanon uses for slow release in their fertilizers called Mesa. It's their branding around a type of nitrogen called methylene urea. And why is that important? Why does it even matter, right? So if you take like most fertilizers, right, like most nitrogen sources that are slow release, like they'll be coated somehow. So they'll be like polymer coated or they'll put some other kind of coating around it. And the idea behind that is that coating that goes around the nitrogen, around the urea, takes a while to break down, to wear off, and that's how those types of fertilizers, those types of nitrogen release slowly over time, because it takes time for that to wear and break down, right? The problem with that is if you ever crush or like hit one of those pieces of nitrogen with like a lawnmower blade or whatever, if they get any kind of trauma, then it's no longer slow release and it becomes fast release. Like it becomes quick release. It's going to give up. The nitrogen is going to become available right away. The nitrogen that's used in the slow release that Lebanon Turf uses in Mesa and also in their Country Club line, the methylene urea is what's called a homogeneous prill, meaning that all throughout, it's the same thing. So if you take a piece of this, I'm not sure I can actually show you, but like you see the blue, if I can get this to focus. Okay, yeah. So you see the blue in there. This is Humic Max. This is the fertilizer I just showed you. The blue in there, that is the Mesa. And if you take that and you were to cut it in half or break it up, it's still Mesa. In other words, it's still going to release, it's still the same methylene urea, and it's still going to release at the same rate. So as far as like a fertilizer that you can apply to your lawn that you can get a lot of consistency out of, meaning that I know that if I put this stuff on my lawn, that in 4 to 6 weeks thereabouts, it's going to release, and then I can apply it again, and I'm going to get the same consistent results. That is why I'm a huge fan of this stuff. And also, if you look at it, I mean, I'm not sure if it's coming through on camera, but this stuff is very, very fine. Like this is this has what's called like an SGN or size guide number of 150. So I like this particular fertilizer, the Humic Max, because if you have a real mowed lawn and the canopy gets really tight, this is going to get through the canopy. The prill is going to get through the grass and get down to the soil without problems. Whereas other types of fertilizer where the prill little pellets are bigger, you'll tend to see them sitting on top of the lawn. So, it's just not as good for tightly mowed, dense grass. You know what I mean? So for a lot of reasons, that's why I like Lebanon Turf fertilizers, and that's why I really love Humic Max, because it's really good. It's really good stuff. It's not cheap, but it is the good stuff. It's the champagne of fertilizers. It's really, really good stuff. All right. Hopefully that helps. All right. So I think we have a couple more questions here. Justin Aguilar says, I have some patches of sod that were yellow, or do you think they will pull through and green up after a while, or is that a lost cause? Would you know how long it would take Bermuda to blend? So it's going to be fine, man. So whenever you start out, you will have some sod that not all of it's going to green up at the same rate. If the sod you put down is Bermuda, once the heat gets here, it's going to wake up and be just fine. If that particular patch, a small little area, it's yellow or looks kind of brown and dying, doesn't take root, the neighboring Bermuda, the neighboring sod is going to grow and fill in and pick up the slack. So overall, once the heat arrives, you're going to be just fine. So again, a lot of what we're dealing with this time of year, with like the lawn just coming in slower and just growing in slower, is just the temperatures. It's just been really cool this time of year than it should be, really, and that's what's causing us to have that slower green up that right now would be awesome. We'd be like SMK was saying, we'd be throwing down PGR, we'd be loving life. You'd be doing all kinds of things at your lawn, but it's just taking longer to grow in because temps have just gotten cooler. So don't worry about it. It's going to come through just fine. All right. I think we are good. And LG saying that fertilizer is nice. He is right. It is good stuff. Actually, you want to see LG's lawn. This is LG's lawn with Humic Max on it. So this is a picture he sent me a couple of weeks ago, probably more than a couple of weeks at this point, of his lawn after mowing it with the Greens Master and after applying Humic Max to it. So you look at that deep green that he's got. That color looks great. And it probably looks even better now because the temps are a little bit warmer where he is. So awesome, awesome stuff. All right. JC is saying, yeah, thanks, Beast Mode. Keep it going. Keep it coming, bro. Tons of useful info. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching the content. And I Say Fitness, is your mower a 1,000 or a 1,600? Mine is a 1,600. I wanted the wider mower because I have a bigger lawn. So one, it's like less passes. And also like having stripes a little too narrow is not going to look good on a bigger lawn, right? You got a really big space. You want to have the thicker stripes, those fat stripes. So it looks good, right? So that's why I went with that one. And let's see. Timothy Wolf says, Ron, do you see any shortage in Humic Max or any other products in your store since you're a YouTube superstar? Okay, first of all, I'm not a YouTube superstar, and there is no shortage of Humic Max. As a matter of fact, we just got some more in, so you guys are good to go to order it and buy it up. I mean, it's great stuff, great product. I wouldn't have it in the store. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't believe in it, and because you guys know I don't put garbage on my lawn. It is really it is the good stuff. Is what I would use if you were in the market for a very high-end quality fertilizer. And then as far as other products, no, not really. I mean, there was a little bit delay in shipping some of the Turfplex orders, largely because of the demand, right? It's not because they don't have it. It's because it's just you guys have been really responsive to I guess to trying out spoon feeding. So that has been a little bit of a delay. Like when I say a little bit of a delay, instead of it going out the next day, it's going out 2 days later. So it's not like you order Turfplex, you're not going to get it for like a week or something like that. It's like literally it's pushing shipments back maybe like a day or so. But I mean, outside of that now. Try and stay ahead of everything and try and make sure that they have enough of the products to feed the demand. Because again, last thing I want is someone to come in the comments and say something nasty to me and be like, oh yeah, this is really nice. Your lawn looks really cool, but I can't get stuff because your store's all sold out. So, so I don't want that to happen. So doing all I can to try and keep the pipelines full and that you guys can always have the products available to create your golf course lawn. Well, guys, I think that's it, guys. I think we are all talked out. We're doing better tonight. We didn't get all the way to 11 p.m. We're at 10:30. Guys, if you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, hopefully I've done enough to earn your support and earn a subscription from you. I really would appreciate it. If not, if you're already a subscriber and if you've not yet liked or touched that like button ever so gently, I'd appreciate it on your way out. It's free for you guys to do. It's an easy way to support the channel. And guys, let's all wish for warmer weather so we can get out there and mow our lawns more. In Georgia, I think the weekend's looking pretty good. I don't think there's supposed to be any rain in the forecast. So if you have the time, get out and do some mowing in your lawn or something else fun in your lawn. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next week. Take care.